8223000. Love you jumping into the conversation anytime. You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line 0448081395. News headlines are coming up right after this.
Make the news just for you with My News. Subscribe to The Advertiser and customise your news feed on our website with full digital access for just $1.
By Hello Sunday Morning.
Did you know SA has its very own Derby Day? The 2021 Adelaide Racing Carnival plays host to SA's Derby Day on Saturday the 8th of May. Experience the magic of the Group 1 race, TAB's South Australian Derby, trackside at Morfettville Racecourse. Limited tickets are available with packages starting from $120 per person and general admission just $30. For more info or to book, visit morfettville.com.au. Don't chase your losses, walk away, gamble responsibly.
Hi, I'm Izzy and my family runs St. Louis Home Care, which was started by my great-grandma 75 years ago. I wanted to introduce you to Deb, a carer and our receptionist. She's great.
Hi, Izzy.
Deb, you've been at St. Louis for 10 years. What do you love about it?
Oh, it's a great family-friendly environment and everyone's happy.
That's because St. Louis got them covered.
With everything from shopping and meals to gardening and home maintenance.
And don't forget the social activities. Google St. Louis Home Care to find out how my family can help take care of yours.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think. Because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 6. Robert in Morfettvale's called in. Morning, you, Robert.
Good morning, Will and Dave. Listen, I was just listening to you guys speak about the QR codes and there's non-compliance. My local Coles, am I allowed to mention which Coles it is, or would you rather me not?
Depends what you're going to say.
Oh, well, I'm just going to say that this particular Coles has made it not harder, but they've basically hidden the QR code.
Oh, really?
That when you walk into the shop, the way that they've set it up, that you can't even see it when you walk in. I can stand outside my Coles for up to 2 hours, and I guarantee you that nobody's doing it. They just walk in. And
that's weird, because most places bend over backwards to make it easy. Like you go to Bunnings, you can barely move for QR codes at the entrance. There will easily be 20 at Mile End.
Well, I'm telling you guys that it's so bad at my local Coles that I'm actually thinking of ringing up the local MP and complaining because nobody's doing it when they're walking in.
Yeah, Rob, that's good info. I actually think that's the kind of incident that SAPOL should be looking at more so than individuals that might wander past and be absent-minded.
Yeah, totally.
If no one's making it easy. Bunnings is a great example. Bunnings have the whole traffic flow scenario that they police really strongly.
Yeah.
I reckon I was the last person leaving Bunnings the other night, and I parked right... So there was no one in the car park. And I was the one at sort of, as you're driving towards Port Adelaide on Port Road. And I parked next to where the in part was.
Oh,
and so I went in, and then I couldn't walk straight back to my car to do like the big loop around. Because they're like, no, you've got to go out the exit. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I normally, because I'm pretty much only at Bunnings ever for the gardening stuff.
So you park down at the gardening end?
Yeah, which at the moment is only an exit.
Right.
So I have to go in through the middle, back out the side, because I've always, in the past, tried to park down the western end of Mile End. But yeah.
Julie in Blakeview, good morning.
Good morning, boys. That guy then that was just commenting on the QR code at Coles, my husband found exactly the same thing. He said he walked into Coles and he had to look around for the QR code as well. And he's like, sometimes he sits over at the shop, with his mates and that, they have a coffee or something, and they watch people going in and out of every store that they're around. And he said nobody uses the QR code. And he said some days they actually put their phones up to do their QR code, and people are pushing in front of them, just walking in front of them while they're doing it. So, and that is why I'm sure the government has still clamped down on the pubs and clubs, because if you get people going into packed pubs and clubs and QR codes haven't been used, it's going to be awfully hard to trace anybody.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's self-centred.
And also, I know they say, but you have full capacity at the football. But if you're allocated a seat at the football, they know exactly where you're sitting. And if the guy 4 rows behind you happens to get COVID, they can trace you immediately.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you're in an outdoor venue. But when you're inside, you know, people have become very, very lax. And my husband has said that many times. He said people just are completely ignoring it. But what that guy said about Coles, we're having the same problem out our way, that it's very difficult to find. It's sort of down low. You can't even see it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Julie. You do get strongly at the sense that of the 800,000 check-ins a day, there's probably about 250,000 people that are checking in absolutely everywhere and another couple 100,000 that aren't checking in anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's right.
There'll be an overrepresentation of one compliant group, would be my guess, if you dug down on the data. Let's get into some of the news headlines today. Australian cricket players and staff in India are in limbo, with the Indian Premier League indefinitely suspended and a ban on their return home. IPL sources say Australian Mike Hussey has contracted coronavirus. That too has come through. Local media report that the Chennai Super Kings batting coach returned a positive test after his team. The bowling coach tested positive. There's an Indian wicketkeeper that did.
Saha's got it, the wiki.
It's unsustainable.
He's the national wiki.
Yeah, it's unsustainable. They've shut it down. We'll read something to you a little bit later of the BCCI statement from India. We sort of say it's time to go back to your countries. Good luck with that. A renowned, well, if you're Australian...
I think Scott Morrison yesterday sounded like he's trying to backpedal a bit.
Oh, they are.
Where he said, it's not like anyone's actually going to go to jail. It's like, well, why hold a press conference beating your chest about the fact that if people come here, they will go to jail?
Well, a renowned human rights lawyer believes it's unconstitutional to stop Australians returning home from India. Flights that have been suspended until mid-May. Those who flout the rules face jail time, or do they? We're not so sure now. Jeffrey Robertson says if an Australian dies from coronavirus in India during the current outbreak, the family could also have a legal case against the federal government.
The family could certainly argue that it was a failure in duty at this stage, or certainly next week, because the government's now had time to get it together and to rescue Australians in peril.
See, Slater said ScoMo would have blood on his hands. A strong thing to say, but technically potentially correct. If the government has said to, say Dave Warner plays with Saha, same side. So say Dave Warner got it and the worst happened.
Well, there's no hospital bed. There's nowhere for him to be treated.
No oxygen.
No oxygen.
People are keeling over in the car, queuing up to get into hospitals. They are our people.
A teenage girl and a man have been charged with trying to import more than 74 kilos of heroin from China. Border officials in China intercepted 254 blocks of heroin, vacuum sealed in foil bags, destined for Australia. The drugs were replaced with another substance, and before being sent to their intended address, 3 in Newcastle and 1 in Perth. One package was found in the bedroom wardrobe of a 17-year-old Perth girl and another with a 23-year-old man in the New South Wales Hunter region. They're both facing life behind bars. Geez, hasn't the drug trade proved resilient? There's a whole host of things you can't get from overseas at the moment because of COVID. Drugs doesn't seem to be one of them.
No, that's right, exactly.
South Australia will welcome back New Zealand travellers this morning on the first direct flight since March 2020. Air New Zealand will operate 3 direct services each week as part of the Trans-Tasman bubble. Some Australian gymnasts are considering seeking compensation for harm suffered during their time in the sport. Gymnastics Australia has unreservedly apologised to anyone who suffered abuse. The Australian Human Rights Commission has published a scathing report into the organisation's culture and practices. A 2-car crash at Monarto South, which has left a man fighting for his life, is under police investigation. A Mazda sedan and Ford Ranger collided at the intersection of Old Princes Highway and Shenshire Road just after 2 p.m. yesterday. A 39-year-old was airlifted to the RAH with critical injuries. The other driver, also a 39-year-old male, was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. 22 minutes after 6, the weather today. Geez, it was another mild start. You know, the really...
Wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be, though. It was only 8 degrees when I got up.
7.7 at the moment outside.
Yeah, right.
The scary thing is, in the back of your head, you're thinking, don't we get to about 2 when it's winter sometimes?
You got it right. You're sitting there with a T-shirt on, mate.
Well, you know my wardrobe philosophy. Well, I commit.
You're all or nothing, aren't you?
So once I'm into the jumpers, I'm into the jumpers.
Oh, so once you've started...
If I'm into the shorts, I stay with the shorts.
Yeah,
See,
I'm with you.
I don't break out the jumpers and then go back. There's no going back.
So what? Because I'm wearing a jumper today.
Yeah, if I was
my
that...
Rip Curl surf top that I bought in Byron Bay almost 20 years ago. I love this thing. But so if you were wearing this, you'd be wearing this until August.
That's right.
You're a man of extremes, Will. The kids always tell me, if I've got this thing, the air conditioner in the car, I only ever put it on hot or cold.
Yep.
I never put it on 23.
Yeah.
You know, because I think I don't want to be 23. I just want to either warm up or cool down.
That's a good point. I think most people would be like that, wouldn't they?
Well, I don't know.
Or do some people like air on the face?
Hey?
Do some people just like fresh air on their face? Well,
no, the
not
kids
so,
always
not
say,
so
Dad,
fresh
why
air.
do you just... It's either a furnace or it's freezing. Well, we're just trying to address Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And I only put it on for a few minutes. And then I'll just go back to, tinkering with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a sign of ageing, playing with the air conditioner. Going, it's a bit hot in here, a bit cold in here.
Maybe our listeners have got sort of weather and temperature-related rules that they adhere to that make little sense or irritate others. 8223 text us on the Telstra Storm Barker text line. If you've got a sort of weather-related rule.
I'll tell you one thing I know, because I'm in this category, sleeping under a doona versus a sheet. I hate having the air conditioner on at night and would much rather just use the sheet or the doona to adjust and happily sleep under a sheet. Kate freaks out. She's no way I'm just sleeping under a sheet. So I have a spare sheet handy that I can grab.
Oh, really?
And just go my own way.
19 is the top today. Thursday, 22. Friday will be 22 with maybe a little sprinkle of... Well, it's not even rain. It'll just be a sprinkle.
Yeah, where's the rain?
Saturday, 21, maybe up to 3 mils. Sunday, 19 and 1. Monday's where you'll get it. Shower or two Monday, 18 up to 6 mils. And Tuesday, a top of 17.
No one wants to spend their weekend in emergency. So if you hurt yourself on a Saturday or Sunday, Dr. Greg Keane says come and see SportsMed instead.
The doctors at our weekend injury clinic can treat any sporting or orthopaedic injuries right away. You won't have to wait all afternoon.
And a standard consult costs less than a private hospital emergency department, right?
Much less.
World-class care without the wait. SportsMed.
Start living life again after your injury.
sportsmed.com.au.
You're not going to believe this airfare deal from Rex. Adelaide to Melbourne, just $59. You heard right, Melbourne for $59. And that's a full service, including checked baggage and onboard refreshments. Rex is Australia's largest independent regional and domestic airline. And they're bringing some of their famous country hospitality to the city. Plus, you can get a full refund should any COVID-related disruptions occur. Book now at rex.com.au. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is only available for a limited time or until sold out.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
This week at Foodland, KR Castlemaine middle bacon rashers. Make mum breakfast in bed, just $8.99 a kilo. Till May 11th, while stocks last.
Foodland, the mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Building amazing homes is important to Beechwood Homes, and so is the environment. So when you build with Beechwood, you're building a better environment for our kids and grandkids. Around 70% of scrap materials from every Beechwood home is recycled. Bricks, rubble, timber, gyprock and steel, none of it goes to landfill. It's all sorted and recycled. So life really is good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Take a look at the stunning Beechwood display home in Blackwood Park.
We hear you. You've lived enough to know you want more. More time, more freedom, more living. Introducing Encore Apartments from ECH, a new vertical retirement village at Modbury, opposite Tea Tree Plaza. 77 two-bedroom apartments, all with private balconies, plus on-site cafe, fitness centre and community garden. Book an appointment to see the new display suite at Parkside or visit echencore.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
There was something in the air that night. The
At Bob Jane T-Mart's, buy 3 get 1 free on Bridgestone, Copia and selected Dunlop passenger tyres. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
28 minutes after 6. We'll talk sport in a moment. We received a couple of callers earlier talking about QR code placement and how them being hidden out of sight or not where they're meant to be is perhaps adding to the concerns SA Health have about QR code compliance at the moment. One caller spoke about a particular Coles store that they say it's almost impossible to find the damn thing. Well, subsequent to that, we've received a whole stack of calls from people about Coles. We're going to put in a call to them and try and get a sense of what's going on, alert them to the fact and get a statement from them about what they're doing to fix it up. We'll do that and have an answer to you before 9 o'clock this morning.
I tell you what, there's one group of people who can't complain about COVID being financially onerous on them, and it's big supermarket chains.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's talk sport. 3 words make a big difference to our dairy farmers. FIVEaa Milk Company in your supermarket now. Rennie's off today. And the biggest story in the world is, of course, still the IPL. We mentioned a short time ago that it has been officially shut down. COVID is just now rampant among the teams. Adam Gilchrist had some really interesting comments around why it might be difficult to tease out the true situation from the BCCI, which are the governing body of cricket in India.
There's been a little bit more concern than what the players have actually said and stipulated to this point. They do tend to want to make sure that they get the right messaging out there from the BCCI or the IPL. They don't particularly want to fall foul of those organisations giving the earning capacity over there in India.
Okay, so what Adam Gilchrist is saying is there are Australian players who are pulling their punches a bit about how bad it is and how bad it's been managed because they don't want to not be able to be there anymore or into the future.
Because it would sound like they're bagging the
IPL. If you bag the IPL with BCCI, like if someone came out, Joe Bloggs from South Australia, the off spinner, came out and said, "Look, this is a joke. No one wears masks. We've had a COVID bloke who's just coughing all over everyone during batting practice.
Yeah.
No one takes it seriously, and they don't really care about our lives. He may not be back." I guess is the inference of what Adam Gilchrist is saying.
Yeah. The there's still what 40 players all up. One other thing is the suggestion that the 2 who made it back via Doha had done something wrong is actually completely fatuous because all they did was just check for available flights, and at that time there was no issue preventing them from doing so.
Yeah.
So they've been belatedly fitted up as a pair of villains who bent the rules when there were no rules to bend.
No, that's just the reality of international flights at the moment. You have to go multiple countries to get anywhere.
That's right. More on that after 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it a little bit later. Who loves South Australia as much as you do? FIVEaa Milk Company, South Australian and proud of it. 5AA News Time.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 19 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra Clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
South Australia is enjoying its biggest interstate migration numbers in 3 decades. We're welcoming the most new residents since 1992 and stemming the so-called brain drain, which has seen many young people leaving the state for opportunities elsewhere. Treasurer Rob Lucas says we have a lot to offer.
People have recognised in South Australia in terms of how we've handled COVID-19 has been probably as good as anybody in the world, frankly. But secondly, clearly there's now strong prospects of jobs growth in the future with defence and shipbuilding, submarines, space agency, cyber security.
A 2-car crash at Monarto South, which has left a 39-year-old man fighting for his life, is under investigation. A sedan and ute collided just after 2 yesterday afternoon. A 39-year-old was airlifted to hospital with critical injuries. The other driver was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. SA will welcome back New Zealanders this morning on the first direct flight since international border restrictions were put in place. Direct flights from Auckland as part of the Trans-Tasman bubble will operate 3 times a week. Tourism SA's Rodney Harricks says it's an exciting step forward in our recovery.
New Zealand is South Australia's 4th largest international market pre-COVID. About 43,000 Kiwis coming into South Australia each year, and that's about $45 million to our economy.
Prominent human rights lawyer Geoffrey Robertson says he's outraged by the unconstitutional India travel ban. Flights from the COVID-stricken country have been suspended until mid-May, and Australians who flout the rules face jail time or hefty fines. Mr Robertson says the federal government cannot leave them stranded.
We have a duty, whether it's a Christian duty, an ethical duty, or legal duty. We have a duty to our citizens whom we promise on their passport to protect, to bring them home.
The Duchess of Sussex has announced her first children's book. It's called The Bench and will hit the shelves in June. Meghan says it's based on a Father's Day poem she wrote for Prince Harry. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
And it's over to Sam Tugwell.
Thanks, Mel. The Indian Premier League has been indefinitely suspended following the continual rise of COVID-19 in the country. According to local reports this morning, former Test batsman Mike Hussey is the first Australian to test positive for the virus. Only 3 Aussie players managed to fly home in time before the borders shut to India last week. Test bowler Pat Cummins, who's currently in isolation in Ahmedabad, says he was shocked when he heard about the travel ban.
As soon as the hard border shut, obviously no one has ever experienced that before. So, yeah, added a little bit of anxiety for a few of the Aussies over here. But we signed up to play the tournament till kind of, the start of June. So hopefully it all reopens on May 15.
Audio thanks to Fox. To footy, the Demons had a win at the AFL Tribunal overnight with Bailey Fritsch free to play after overturning a one-match ban for striking. Meanwhile, Sydney Swan Paddy McCartan has been handed a 5-match suspension for a punch to the head in the VFL. In other footy news, the AFL umpires head coach Hayden Kennedy has resigned from his role after 8 years at the top. He's umpired 495 games, including 5 grand finals since 1988. And in basketball, the Adelaide 36ers claimed their second straight win as they push for the finals. They beat the Cairns Taipans 92-76. Brandon Paul, the star, he sunk 18 points with 10 rebounds. And that's 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Heading for a top of 19 today and mostly sunny. Partly cloudy tomorrow, 22. Friday, much the same, and 22. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. Coming up to 7 o'clock this morning, we'll talk more about the situation in India with the IPL. The really pleasing statistic about interstate migration here in South Australia. We're on the positive side of the ledger for the first time in a long, long time. And also Sean Fuster will join us on the show. Meghan Markle has released a new book called The Bench. It's called The Bench, about the special bond between father and child.
Fantastic.
She hasn't had... I mean, her immediate relationships haven't been great between father and child, have they?
No, well, not unless she's been somehow snuck down to Rosarito and Baja, California to catch up with an old man and mend some bridges.
And her husband's relationship with his father's not so great at the moment.
Geez, there's some vacuous vanity publishing that happens when you're rich and famous.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what was that book Hillary Clinton wrote? It Takes a Village. If you want to read someone coming off the top turnbuckle in a literary sense, the most devastating book review ever written, Martin Amos's review of Hillary Clinton's book, It Takes a Village. One of the best bits of writing you'll ever read.
Well, we thought wrong authors for advice books is a really sort of rich vein, I think. Meghan Markle giving advice about father-child relationships is an intriguing foray into an advice book.
How to keep families together.
Yeah, well, like the Melinda and Bill Gates Guide to a Happy Marriage might be one that makes very little sense.
Come on, that was made 3 decades.
That's
not
true.
Bad.
No, they're not bad.
And they seem to be having quite an amicable split.
Jimmy, well, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Did you see what her separation, what her payout is likely to be?
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second. The Jimmy Barnes Guide to Soft Singing. We'll speak to him a little bit later in the morning. Who's the wrong author for an advice book? Let us know one. 8223 or text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line.
I've got a couple.
Yeah.
The David Penberthy workout. And fine dining with Will Goodings.
Yeah, no help whatsoever. Everyone orders for me.
Will Goodings' kitchen diary. Oh, here's one from Andy Rusgar, the David Penberthy punctuality manual.
8223 0000.
It was meant to be out on Friday. It's actually going to be out next Wednesday.
The wrong authors for advice books. Let us know. You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line. You mentioned
How about the Malcolm Turnbull Guide to Humility?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one?
Yeah.
Kevin Rudd's Guide, How to Let Go by Kevin Rudd.
Riding off into the sunset, Kevin's Guide to Disappearing.
Yeah, that's right. Bowing out gracefully by Kevin Rudd. What about his brother potting him the other day? That was funny.
Bill and Melinda Gates do not have a prenuptial agreement. So they get $130 billion. They're going to have to split some way. And the way this happens, of course, is you go through the big assets. The assets are big. They're big. They have houses in 5 different states in the US. A $127 million mansion in Medina, Washington, that overlooks Lake Washington. $127 million worth of house goes a long way. How about this, though? Bill Gates bought the land the house was built on in 1988 for $2 million.
You're kidding?
That's flipping houses success story, isn't it?
I'll say.
They also own a $59 million... These are all US dollars, by the way. $59 million ranch in Florida. They've got another one in Wyoming that's worth $9 million. That's obviously the shack.
Yeah, the cheap one.
They have a private jet. Apparently Bill, didn't know Bill was a big car guy. Big car guy, Bill Gates. Owns a Porsche 930 Turbo, a Jaguar XJ6, a Ferrari 348, and a rare Porsche 959. This is the one that recently was reported on because he couldn't get through customs. It was held up in customs for 13 years. He recently purchased an electric car because why not? The Porsche Taycan. This is the one that really got to me. They own, in their art collection, the Da Vinci Codex. It's worth $30 million. It was the most expensive book ever bought. Literally, Da Vinci's manuscripts bound together that was first purchased in the 1700s.
You're kidding?
Yeah, they own it.
What is the Da Vinci Codex?
So he's written about things like his theories on why are there fossils at the top of mountains? Why is the moon light?
Hmm.
And he's got he's expanded on these theories, and it's just his notes and what his concepts and things like that.
Is that the one with all the pictures of the human body?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's the one with, the flying machines or anything. It's other works.
Yeah, right.
But it's literally the original one. And they've got it, and they've got to work it out in the divorce papers. It's quite extraordinary. Hey, big news here.
I saw yesterday the total figure in the split. If they're worth 133 million, apparently billion. I meant billion. Apparently, she's getting $83 billion worth.
Right.
83 billion.
I'd be happy with that.
Leaving Bill with just 50 billion.
I'd be happy with that. I mean,
do you reckon he's going to get together with his mates and drown his sorrows and
go, oh, God.
Hey, Bill, who shout? Oh, come on, mate. I've just been fleeced. I've only got $50 million left.
I bought that land for $2 million back in '88. They are both single now too. So if you do want to come on the air and start touting your wares,
probably go out with either of them.
Touting your wares. You can do it. We're happy to be the dating service that puts a South Australian together with a Gates or an ex-Gates.
The good thing about being in a relationship with Bill Gates, I reckon he'd be really good at fixing your modem when.
Well, you'd hope so.
Because at the moment our Foxtel's not working. It's driving me mad. I'm buggered. It's 3 days now. I just can't get it to work. And the kids say, "Dad, Foxtel's not working." I go, "I know. What do you think I am, Bill Gates?"
The first flight from New Zealand arrives in Adelaide at 10:45 a.m. this morning. The first flight out of Adelaide is at midday. It's direct to Auckland. Before COVID, New Zealand was South Australia's 4th largest international inbound market. There were 43,000 trips made by Kiwis to South Australia in 2019. It's a big one. It's an important one. It's fantastic that we're going to be up and open. And apparently they're planning some sort of a welcome committee for them.
Yeah.
At the airport at 10:45 this morning.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Hey, after the break, a P-plater was busted speeding on the expressway overnight. 100 k's an hour zone. Speeding in 100 k's an hour zone. We'll tell you how fast they were going right after this.
Looking for a gorgeous gift this Mother's Day? Fella Hamilton offers a beautiful, bright gift guide full of stunning pieces. If you can't decide between all the superb accessories and garments available, you can always grab one of their popular Fella Hamilton gift cards. Fella Hamilton take the guesswork out of Mother's Day. For a short time only, you will receive a free gift with purchase. T's and C's apply. So hurry into FIVEaa Hamilton to find the perfect Mother's Day gift. In-store, online or by mail order right now.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
If there's any tech I can recommend for Mother's Day, it's got to be a smartwatch. The Garmin Fenix 6S Pro GPS watch comes with an optical heart rate monitor to gauge your workout, as well as track your heart rate's variability, offering ample space for storing up to 2,000 songs for your hikes or workouts. When it comes to activities, it has all the trimmings like an altimeter, a compass, and a clever incident alert that detects when you fall and notifies others. It's a very smart watch, and it looks smart too, with a stylish rose gold frame with a white band. The Garmin Fenix 6S Pro Rose Gold watch. Surprise mum with one and head to your local Harvey Norman and pick one up at 50% off until Mother's Day. Only $574.
Check out these great offers at 5AA.com.au. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Wildflowers Cafe is now open at Centennial Park. A perfect place to spend time and take in the magnificent Centennial Park gardens while you connect and reflect in the uplifting cafe space. Enjoy a drink, snack or lunch with your family and friends. And remember those you've loved and lost. Wildflowers Cafe at Centennial Park. Compassion, inclusion, choice. Open 7 days, Monday to Friday, 8 to 3:30 p.m. and Saturday, Sundays and public holidays, 10 to 3 p.m.
What's on your bucket list? Parachuting? Climbing Everest? Swimming with sharks? There's one thing that should be on everyone's bucket list. A will and estate plan. A will, power of attorney and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. They look after you and your loved ones. A will and estate plan drawn up by Donlan Lawyers is peace of mind for everyone. For wills and estate planning, contact Donlan Lawyers or visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Mart's, buy 3 get 1 free on Bridgestone, Ecopia and selected Dunlop passenger tyres. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 to 7, wrong authors for self-help guides. Sleeping with the Enemy, David Penberthy's guide to managing body temperature while sleeping, Mark from Largs Bay says. The Kyle Sandylands Humility Help Guide, says another. Didn't put their name to it.
Barnaby Joyce, the Guide to Home Affairs from Paul and Elizabeth Park. Here's one we can all relate to, those of us with young kids. Laura wants her children to write a book called How to Sleep Through the Night. And Anne says the Mal Meninga Guide to Political Longevity. Tessa in Baraka, ScoMo's new book, How to Effectively Teach Consent. And George from Virginia, thank you, George. He's clearly been on the live stream, the Dave Penberthy Fashion Guide for 2021.
I don't know, that the Byron Bay jumper, tell it up pretty well.
Right?
Tell it up pretty well, I think.
Hey, it's Thursday tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Look out for the man.
No, I think it'll be back to just the usual dregs on Thursday.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Is it ended?
For now. I'm told they're preparing some more things later in the year. Now, let's check in with Safe. I'll send you Constable Kylie Simpson's on the line. Morning to you, Kylie.
Good morning.
Now, Kylie, tell us about this P-plate that was caught speeding on the expressway.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. He was caught driving 80 kilometres over the speed limit at Trott Park. So about 10:50 last night, police were conducting speed detection duties on the Southern Expressway when they clocked the driver in a white Audi travelling at 181 kilometres in the 100k zone. So the police officer quickly radioed patrols further ahead who were able to safely stop the Audi on Flinders Drive. So they spoke to the 17-year-old Hawthorne Dean man. Checks revealed that he had a P1 licence, so he was reported for speeding, driving at a dangerous speed, breaching conditions of his licence. So the car was impounded for 28 days. He'll be summoned to appear in court, and his car was also defected for some modifications. So crazy behaviour, that's just ridiculous. He probably only had his licence for, not even a year.
Totally. And at that age, if anything went wrong, and quite easily it could, doing that speed, he wouldn't have the maturity or experience to deal with it. So,
No, exactly. And you're right. He wouldn't have the experience. He wouldn't know what to do. And, something simple like there could be a rock on the road or anything could cause something.
You hit a bump?
Yeah. Or, God forbid, someone crossing a road. He would never be able to stop.
Was it his own
crazy.
car? It wasn't a stolen car?
No, his own car, yeah. Yep.
An Audi? Must be a cashed up little so-and-so.
I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, no worries, Kylie. Also, someone says there might be a story there. Kylie, also a bloke's been arrested after dumping a stolen car.
That's right. This was about 1:15 this morning when police saw a Honda Jazz on Exeter Terrace at Renown Park. So checks revealed that the car had been stolen from the area earlier in the month. So they actually tried to stop the car, but the driver sped off. So they just searched the area and then they located it abandoned on Alvis Road at Croydon Park. So they actually heard some noises and located the suspected driver on the roof of a nearby house. And after a short conversation and a few barks from PD Bandit, the man came down. He was arrested and officers searched the roof and located some cash. So 37-year-old man from Virginia was taken to the QEH for some treatment of an injury that he sustained while he was climbing on the roof. He's been taken to Port Adelaide cells now where he's been charged with a number of offences. He's been refused bail and will appear in court today.
Good on you, Kylie.
Stuff.
Thank you for that. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson from SAPOL. Vince Rowlands is on duty at the Weather Bureau this morning. Where's the rain, Vince? What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. We're looking at...
it's not your fault, clearly.
No, we're not blaming you.
Yeah. Look, there is a little bit more underway as we head towards the weekend, but again, it's just a weak system coming through, so we're not expecting anything really significant. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of obviously a longer wait before we get any decent rain, but yeah, fingers crossed it happens sooner rather than later because, it was a pretty dry April and, we don't want those dry conditions continuing. But pretty cold here overnight. So currently sitting at 7.3 degrees. We got down to 7.2 not that long ago, but quite a bit colder up in the northern suburbs. Elizabeth got down to 4.4 and Mount Lofty 4.5. So, yeah, some pretty cold parts of the metro area. But we are going to warm up to 19 degrees today. Just got some east to southeasterly winds and just becoming light in the middle of the day. But another reasonably cold start to the day tomorrow, overnight minimum of 9 degrees, but warming up to 22 degrees on Thursday. And then the minimums pick up a bit, so we're looking at minimums around sort of 12, 13 degrees for the next couple of nights, but daytime temperatures still hovering around the low 20s. So 22 degrees with a slight chance of a shower on Friday. 21 degrees on Saturday. Look, we've got some shower activity around on Saturday, so for the showdown, there might still be the odd shower around, so certainly keep an eye on the forecast over the next couple of days if you are heading to the footy. But then on Sunday, we cool down a bit more, still some shower activity around, and then Monday, there's a frontal feature coming through, so it looks like Monday could be the wettest of the days, the top of 18, and then Tuesday, a top of 17. So, yeah, a couple of nice days on the way and hopefully get some reasonable shower activity around the city over the next 3 or 4 days after that.
6 mil Monday, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
That'd be great. Good on you, Vince. Vince Rowlands, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau. 9 to 7. We're going to flash back with Michael Smith in just a moment. But first, let's check traffic. Get a great deal on 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles. Dave Potter Honda.
Good morning. Good start on the roads this morning. The North-South Motorway accident and breakdown free and a really good run all the way to Regency Park. The Southern Expressway also working well to South Road and to Tonsley. And just some roadworks to look out for this morning. Salisbury East, Main North and McIntyre Road intersection upgrade, slowing things down there this morning. And the freeway up track through Mount Osmond, speeds reduced for works there as well. A couple of speed cameras to keep your eye out for today. Fosters Road, Hillcrest, Grand Junction Road at Jeffs Cross. Mother's Day is just around the corner. So if you're looking for a little something to show Mum your love, visit your local Australia Post for a fantastic selection of thoughtful gifts. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It's the little things that make a big difference to your day, like a thank you email from a colleague or a smile from a stranger on the train. And it can all start here with a healthy, delicious breakfast made with the goodness of Aussie-made Pura milk. It's got 8 essential nutrients and vitamins to kickstart your morning and set you up for the day ahead. So start your day the positive way with Pura.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. Don't wait for end of financial year sales. Get great deals on a massive range of new Volkswagens right now. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen has loaded up on new stock, as well as locate demos, all ready for immediate delivery. And if you're impressed with our sales team, you'll love our service department with next day servicing and free loan cars. Don't wait for a great deal on Volkswagen. Get yours now from Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Looking for something new to do with the family? If only there was somewhere that was fast, exciting and fun that kept you entertained for days? With regional market stalls, dedicated kids zones and live music, carnival rides, fireworks, stunt riders, junior go-karts and more. Wouldn't it be great if this was all in one place over one weekend? What are you waiting for? Supercars are back at the Bend Motorsport Park. May 7 to 9 for the OTR Super Sprint. Tickets on sale now at thebend.com.au.
Ray White Business Sales SA and Business SA. Both are experts at what they do, so they've formed an alliance to help you. Whether you're buying or selling a business or somewhere in between, they'll work together, making sure the business you're going to sell or buy is in top shape. Ray White Business Sales SA and Business SA. Experts in business support and sales. Ready to help you achieve your goals. Call them today. 8300 0000.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 to 7, Sean Fuster coming up after 7:30 this morning. Jimmy Barnes will be on the show, and we'll also speak with someone who was stuck in the back of a ramped ambulance with a mother in dire need of urgent medical care. That's coming up after 7 o'clock today. But first, let's flash back. Michael Smith joins us from 7 News. Morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Will and Dave. Before we flash back, I've got a contribution to make to your advice books by the wrong authors.
Yes.
One of my all-time favourites, The Humphrey and Fat Cat Guide to Public Speaking.
One of the world's shortest books.
Informative, though. Not very helpful, but informative.
Hey, Michael, in fact, before we do flash back with you, I just note this morning, and it's been appearing in 5AA News with Mel Usher over the course of the morning, the sad news that Di Stapleton passed away. Did you know her?
I didn't know her, but I knew her as a listener. I used to call Dial-A-Hit on 5AD back in the 80s, and I remember her co-hosting Music Express with Greg Clark on Channel 7 all those years ago. Very sad to hear that news with Mel in the news at 6 this morning, yeah.
Yeah. So where are we flashing back to this morning, Michael?
Well, we have a fresh from the oven edition of Flashback for you today. We're going way back to the time before Uber Eats and Menulog, when we actually had rotary dial phones. We're looking at Adelaide's dialer pizza revolution. Do you remember Dino's? Have a listen to this.
Dial-A-Dino. It's a fresher pizza. Dial-A-Dino. Oh, nice to meet ya. Dial-A-Dino. Everyone knows the pizza. The beautiful nose.
You'd remember those bright yellow Daihatsus with the red illuminated phones on the roof?
Yeah, totally.
I was amazed to discover that road safety experts in the 80s thought Adelaide drivers would confuse them for emergency services vehicles, which led to protests at Parliament House because the pizza car operators were told to turn the signs off the top of the cars. And they had to have a big protest on the steps of Parliament House with all of the Dino's cars lined up to petition the government to allow them to drive them, to convince people that they're actually safe to drive around Adelaide and people wouldn't mistake them for ambulances or fire engines. It's extraordinary.
How bizarre. You could help solve the ramping problem at the moment if we had a few, just stick you in the back of a Daihatsu.
It's a great Adelaide success story. It started with one store at St Peter's, grew to have 125 around the country. They expanded to New Zealand, to Japan, even to the UK. Pizza Hut ended up buying them out after only 5 years. So right place, right time. But I remember that excitement as a kid, using the rotary dial phone and waiting out the front for the yellow Dino's guy to turn up. Did you guys do that?
Oh, yeah. And for me, it dovetailed nicely with video night as well, because as a family in the 80s, we'd often get the Dial-A-Dinos after we'd gone down to the old Blockbuster or whatever it was called on Dawes Road and got 5 movies for $10, maybe a couple of new releases for $4, $4 overnight, which is always a bit of a pricier sort of investment. But It was a real food revolution, though, Michael.
It was, and before that, we sort of went out for pizza, didn't we? We went on to those dine-in Pizza Huts, which was a different experience. But then, people realised they could get it at home. Richard Westcombe, who launched Dino's in 1984, was inspired to do so after watching Leave It to Beaver, that 1960s American sitcom. He saw a home delivery pizza there. He also spotted someone doing it in Queensland, thought, this is a brilliant idea. Adelaide's the right sort of market for it, and it was a huge success.
We were still pretty snobbish, though, in my family about how the pizza wasn't as good as the traditional Italian suburban pizza that you had to go and pick up yourself. We used to go to the Brighton Pizza Bar that's not there anymore. But in fact, I think the whole shopping complex has changed, but it was fantastic. And if you were on your best behaviour, Dad would let you get one of those takeaway cassatas as well.
Oh, yes.
From the Italian ice cream freezer. And they had a thing called the Forbidden Apple as well. It was like a gelati in the shape of an apple. We love them.
People should go on your Twitter, Michael, and have a look at the picture of the protest outside Parliament House. The thought that people would confuse these bright yellow vehicles with the emergency service ones is actually quite comical. Michael, looking forward to flashing back on 7 News.
Good on you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Michael.
Michael Smith with 7 News Flashback. See, but it reminds me, there are a litany of ideas or things we were warned about that, in hindsight, are so ridiculous that you can't imagine that anyone actually seriously proffered the argument, like these vehicles, and you can look at it on Michael Smith's Twitter. But I think, too, the ETSA building at the corner of sort of...
Anzac Highway.
Yeah, Anzac Highway and coming down Green Hill Road. They had real issues getting the electric sign on top of that building up because there were concerns that it was going to be like the Light Square. Oh, sorry, not the Light Square, the Times Square of Adelaide, and the drivers wouldn't be able to focus on the road.
That's the smallest sign ever.
It really is. But there weren't
it looks
many...
like a 40-inch plasma television, that thing.
People have bigger TVs in their homes.
It's not like the Coke sign in King's Cross.
People... It was there wasn't a whole heap of them around, to be fair, when it first got put up. But when they put it up, they had to jump through so many hoops because there were people at elected levels who suggested that it would be a driver distraction and it would lead to all sorts of accidents.
Well, there's been debates about the big billboards on the Southern Expressway.
Yeah,
but wasn't one of them when there was an ad that was a bit racy, like for
it was
for like a Victoria's Secret type thing or something. It was some sort of lingerie or undergarments ad.
I'd suggest we wouldn't get good road statistics on that if it caused accidents either way. What happened, sir? Distracted.
I was sort of looking up.
Sneezed.
Yeah, that's right.
5AA News time. We'll take you through some of the big stories in Adelaide right after this.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny today and a top of 19 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Trust Physio Extra. Norwood, Pirie Street, Marion, Hallicove, Seaford and Victor Harbour. PhysioExtra.com.
A P-plater has been busted doing 180 kilometres an hour on the Southern Expressway at Trop Park. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says he was clocked late last night.
The police officer quickly radioed patrols further ahead who were able to safely stop the Audi on Flinders Drive. So they spoke to the 17-year-old Hawthorne Dean man. Checks revealed that he had a P1 licence.
He's been reported for excessive speed, driving at a speed dangerous and breaching a number of conditions of his licence. The Audi was also defected due to number plate modifications. Australians are coming to SA and staying. New stats show interstate migration numbers have hit a high not seen since the early 1990s. Treasurer Rob Lucas says it's a turnaround which has been helped by the pandemic and our growing defence and space industries.
As we know, for 30 years we've had the brain drain as particularly young people have fled South Australia and gone to the other states. What we've seen in the last 12 months, for the very first time in 30 years, we've actually seen that being reversed.
New Zealanders will be welcomed back into SA this morning on the first direct flight in more than a year. Flights from Auckland to Adelaide will operate 3 times a week as part of the Trans-Tasman bubble. Tourism SA's Rodney Harrick says it's a welcome relief for many.
Free travel between New Zealand and Adelaide. This is a really big step. It's really important for families and, we'll see a lot of family and friends uniting, but importantly, it's important for the tourism industry.
Voluntary assisted dying legislation will go before the Upper House today. It's South Australia's 17th attempt in 25 years to pass euthanasia laws. Labor MP Kayam Ma says it would allow terminally ill people who meet a certain criteria to end their lives.
There are legislation that mirrors the Victorian legislation. You've got to have a first doctor with a diagnosis of 6 months to live, or for a neurodegenerative disease, 12 months. And then you've got to have a second doctor who's a specialist in that area give you the same diagnosis before you can even be considered.
The cricket crisis in India has deepened. IPL sources say Australian Mike Hussey has contracted coronavirus. The Indian Premier League has been suspended indefinitely. 3 franchises have now had players or staff test positive. A new treatment for melanoma in the eyes has been shown to improve overall survival rates. Research suggests the drug cuts the patient's chances of dying in half. Oncologist Anthony Joshua says it's a potential game changer.
We would sometimes use some chemotherapy, sometimes use some other types of immunotherapy that we could cobble together, literally, but we really didn't have anything that we were confident about. So this is the first time that there's been a study which has shown a robust advantage for survival.
More wild weather in the US. Tornadoes and damaging storms are lashing the southeast, impacting 90 million people. And there are tributes today for former Adelaide radio identity Di Stapleton, better known as Daisy, who's passed away. She appeared on FIVEaa in the 1980s, as well as Channel 7's Music Express. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
Here's Sam Tugwell.
Thanks, Mel. Crows captain Rory Sloane is all but cleared to play in this weekend's Showdown 49 against the Power. Sloane has been sidelined for the last 4 weeks with a detached retina, but a meeting with his specialist today will be the last box to tick.
Check up with the specialist tomorrow. That'll be the final hurdle I suppose I need to jump, but from a physical point of view I feel fine. If I've learned anything over the years is your eyes are extremely important, so I will definitely be listening to the specialist. If there's any risk whatsoever, I wouldn't play. If he declares me fit and fine, then I'll be right to.
The Melbourne Football Club is expected to announce a mammoth contract extension today for Premier midfielder Christian Petrarca. The 25-year-old Demon has reportedly signed a $6 million deal set to last until the end of 2029. Meanwhile, the good news keeps coming for Melbourne after their leading goal kicker Bailey Fritsch was free to play this weekend after successfully overturning a one-match ban for striking. Further to our earlier story, the India Premier League has been indefinitely suspended due to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis in India. Australian Test bowler Pat Cummins says the situation is dire.
It's quite hard to grasp, really. We're, as I say, lucky and a little bit isolated in this bubble, but the situation that the rest of India are going through at the moment is, it's awful. It's horrible. Everyone's got stories of their friends and family who have been affected.
And to other sport, the Adelaide 36ers claimed an important 16-point win last night over the Cairns Taipans, and tonight Ash Barty will play off in the quarter-final of the Madrid Masters against Petra Kvitova. And that's 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great deal and 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
Good morning. Roads are flowing well this morning. The Southern Expressway accidental breakdown free to South Road all the way into Tonsley. North-South Motorway also working well into Regency Park. Simply a few roadworks to look out for today. Salisbury East, Main North Road, the McIntyre Kings Road intersection slowing things up this morning. And keep in mind those speed restrictions are still in place. The freeway up track through Mount Osman. Leave early if you're heading that way this morning. Win a $3.4 million grand prize on the Esplanade at South Brighton with a Hospital Research Home Lottery. Visit homelottery.com.au, licence M13989. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Mostly sunny 19 today, partly cloudy tomorrow 22, and the same again on Friday. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Interstate migration hitting record highs here in South Australia. There's something we have to do about this.
Maybe we need to build a big wall.
Do you reckon it's time?
Wall. Keep them out.
I'm not so sure after we've complained about them not coming in for so long whether we want to keep them out just yet.
Is it more them coming in or is it more our young folk leaving? Or is it both?
Well, you're saying our young folk not leaving.
Well, we've spent years complaining about young people leaving.
I think it's a combination. Wrong authors for self-help guides. Sleeping with the Enemy, David Penberthy's Guide to Managing Body Temperature While Sleeping, Mark from Largs Bay says.
Barnaby Joyce, The Guide to Home Affairs from Paul and Elizabeth Park. George from Virginia, thank you, George. He's clearly been on the live stream, the Dave Penberthy Fashion Guide for 2021.
Senior Constable Kylie Simpson's
Absolutely ridiculous. He was caught driving 80 kilometres over the speed limit at Trop Park on the Southern Expressway. The 17-year-old Hawthorne Dean man, he had a P1 licence.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 7. Sean Fuster coming up after 7:30. And the big story in Adelaide at the moment is about ambulance ramping and emergency department wait times. We'll speak with someone who was in that exact situation in about 10 minutes' time. The Indian Premier League is the biggest story globally at the moment in terms of a sport body that is facing serious issues. It's believed to it has been suspended after another Indian player from another franchise tested positive to COVID-19 in the country, for what it's worth. They've just ticked over 20 million positive COVID tests, but we know there's likely to be many, many more people infected than that. They announced on Tuesday afternoon three positive tests at three different franchises meant that the world's richest T20 tournament had to be shut down. One of those, as David mentioned earlier, was Indian wicketkeeper Wriddhiman Saha of the Sunrisers, which is David Warner's side, of course. Trevor Bayliss and Tom Moody are coaches there. The BCCI released a statement confirming the suspension of the tournament. It contained an interesting nugget for Australians. Here's how it reads. The BCCI, which is basically Cricket Australia for India, does not want to compromise on the safety of the players, support staff and other participants involved in organising the IPL. The decision was taken keeping the safety, health and well-being of all the stakeholders in mind. The BCCI will do everything in its powers to arrange for the secure and safe passage of all participants in IPL 2021. I'm not sure where they'll send the Australians then.
Given that they're
saying they will send you home.
Being threatened with jail time if they come home before May 15. I think there's still significant public support for the government taking a hard line on this, though. We're still getting texts like this one from Kev on the Copper Coast. He says, cricket in India, how is it the government's problem if a citizen decides to put themselves into a dangerous situation overseas? I can understand the sentiment in a way, Kev, but where do you draw the line on that, though? Like if a person is, say, we'll wait and see when the borders open, but say that an 18-year-old bloke decides that, before he settles down and gets a job or goes to uni, he's going to go to Africa and he gets himself into strife in, Nigeria. Do we say, well, buyer beware? Do we take a sort of flint-hearted approach? Or if, God forbid, there was another terror attack in a place like Bali and you say, well, it's happened there before. You're mad to go there.
We've made a habit of bailing out criminals as well in the past. People have done stupid things overseas. It seems no one's doing anything illegal. We've suddenly said, well, that's no good.
You made a good point when we were chatting about this off air too, Will, that Paul Rifle's an umpire.
Yeah, he's not.
Michael Slater's a cricket commentator. He's not getting paid stacks of money.
I can't imagine Trevor Bayliss and Tom Moody are on necessarily mega bucks.
No.
Like Pat Cummins. But they've all got mortgages to pay. And there's
not
many bartending jobs around at the moment.
Why do we, and this is where I think Andrew Bolt made some incredibly powerful points in his column, why is it that it is purely India where we are saying to them, and it's not them, it's us, because we're not talking about Indian nationals, we're talking about Australian citizens of Indian extraction. As Bolt wrote in the Tiser the other day, a lot of those people, the only reason they've gone back to India is because they're desperate to see ailing loved ones, or they're back home trying to help their families financially. They're not citizens of convenience, to use that term, because I know that gets bandied about.
Yep.
Now, I've got a really good mate of mine who has just come out from the United States to see his folks, who he hasn't seen for almost 2 years. And they are getting on, as most of our parents are. My friends I'm talking about, those of us in our 50s, we're all, making sure and hoping that our parents can live to a ripe old age. But he came out, just finished the 2 weeks quarantine. Now, the United States had terrible problems with COVID. So what's the difference between him as an Australian citizen coming here or someone from India who can quarantine, who's an Australian citizen, is just physically in India at the moment? Why are we doing it to India? And And it's not like India's a country that doesn't share our values.
As I saw someone post on social media last night, Natalie Portman's parents, the actress, were able to come out to see her. She's making a film out here. But Australians can't return from India.
I reckon the government stuffed it up. And I don't think they've stuffed it up in a PR sense or in a poll-driven sense. I still think most people would disagree with the points you and I have just made.
Absolutely.
So bad luck. Bad luck. But it's a weird way to run a country, and it's a weird way to treat your own citizens.
The best story in South Australia at the moment is a statistic about a form of migration, interstate migration. The number of people moving to South Australia from interstate has reached its highest level in almost 30 years. That's some ABS data that came out yesterday. We had a net gain, and it's modest, but it's a gain, David. 130 people recorded for the December quarter. We gained 130. We don't gain. We always lose.
Yeah,
we have
and
30
we normally
years.
lose by the thousands.
Well, exactly right. The ABS figures showed 2020 was the first time since 1992 that we had a full 12 months of positive migration. It was actually only 98 people, but we had a full 12 months of positive migration. Now, what we can see is a trend, David. It's gone up. 98 last year. We're talking 130 for the December quarter. We need to have controls in place for when the floodgates open, right? We need a citizenship test. We can't just have people coming into South Australia with no knowledge about what goes on here. Now, they're coming in. That much has been established. We need us and our listeners to come together and put together a citizenship test for people coming into South Australia. What should be on the list? 822 300 Devise a question. Or you can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line.
How about one, this could be like the equivalent of question 10. You know, who wants to be a millionaire? Really sort the wheat out from the chaff. According to Keith Conlon, in the State Bank ad, what small good don't they have in Sydney?
Oh, that's good. I like that.
What do you think?
What about just who is Mr. South Australia? That could be one of the questions.
That's good.
You know what I like?
What about question 10? Name the sculptor who gave Adelaide balls.
That's very. I mean, they're tough. We're not
Give you a clue. First name Bert.
Yeah. We're not many people getting Flugelman, are they?
They can get out then.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, maybe that's maybe that's how harsh we've got to be. 822 300 You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text. And I was thinking, if you want to order 425 mils of beer, what do you say at a pub?
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Because I reckon
that's a good starting one.
that'd cause a lot of concern for people in certainly the eastern states.
They'd say a schooner in Sydney.
Exactly right. Well, they'd say it in Victoria too. 822.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They have pots, don't they?
Yeah, but that's
that's
smaller. That's what our schooners are.
Yeah, that's right.
822 300 text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. We'll take them over the course of the morning and compile the South Australian citizenship test for the veritable flood of people that are set to come across the border. Let's check traffic thanks to Dave Potter Honda. Get a great deal on 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles. Dave Potter Honda.
Roads looking good for the drive in this morning. Anzac Highway flowing well from Glenelg into the city, and Main North Road at Enfield in through Scotty's Corner. That is also looking good today as well, which is nice. Southern Expressway working well to South Road and Tonsley, and North-South Motorway accident and breakdown free. Simply a few spots getting busy. Main North Road at Kings Road for works, and the freeway up track through Mount Osmond. Speed restrictions in place there too. Our mums give us everything. So what to give them for Mother's Day? A Coles Group and Myer gift card. Choose from thousands of stores and millions of gifts. Available in-store and online. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
The people at SAPOL are absolutely horrified. They can't believe these numbers, but 1 in 6 motorists tested by police have got drugs in their system. Yeah, it's mainly meth.
9 till 12 weekdays.
The dangers of drink driving appear to be resonating. Everybody seems to understand that you shouldn't drink and drive, but somehow there are those who drug drive who think that's perfectly fine.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Looking for a gorgeous gift this Mother's Day? Fella Hamilton offers a beautiful, bright gift guide full of stunning pieces. If you can't decide between all the superb accessories and garments available, you can always grab one of their popular Fella Hamilton gift cards. Fella Hamilton take the guesswork out of Mother's Day. For a short time only, you will receive a free gift with purchase. T's and C's apply. So hurry into Fella Hamilton to find the perfect Mother's Day gift. In store, online, or by mail order right now.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is here with a $3.4 million grand prize. You could be living the dream mortgage-free in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton. Plus, it comes with $1 million cash. With over 15,000 incredible prizes to win, you've got a 1 in 15 chance of winning. Join the fight for cures, better treatments and improved care by purchasing your ticket today at homelottery.com.au.
Licence M13989.
The best of both worlds, that's all anyone wants, even in retirement. With Southern Cross Care, you can have exactly that and live between the coast and the city at their wonderful O'Grady Court community in North Plympton.
They have affordable one-bedroom units starting from $85,900, very affordable, featuring open-plan living, modern kitchen, spacious bathrooms, plus you'll also have access to services next door at the Pines Health and Wellness Centre and to the vibrant on-site community centre of John Martin House.
Not only is this where many social and community groups gather, it's also the beautiful Bluestone building and original home of the John Martin family, but extended and refurbished for use by residents.
For more information about O'Grady Court, visit southerncrosscare.com.au or call 1800 852 772. That number again, 1800 852 772.
The new Nissan Navara is the ultimate work vehicle, built tough with advanced tech to get the job done. Speak to your local Nissan fleet experts today about tailoring a vehicle solution for your business needs.
Don't miss the massive trade tool sellout this weekend at Adelaide Tools. Get in quick for 3 big days of red hot deals on a huge range of trade quality brands at Mile End, St Mary's, Lonsdale, Gawler and their massive new Parafield superstore. You'll find unmissable deals across SA's biggest range of top brand tools and equipment. This Friday, Saturday and Sunday only at the Adelaide Tools Trade Tool Sellout. Adelaide Tools, trusted brands, trusted service since 1949.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
19 minutes after 7, getting some great entries for the South Australian citizenship test that we'll get to after 7:30 this morning, because right now I want to revisit what was the biggest talking point on the program yesterday, one of the biggest in South Australia, ramping and wait times in emergency departments. For most of us, we'd like to think it remains an academic discussion, one where you have it now in the hope that you're not going to have to face the dire circumstances of being ramped for hours on end in an emergency situation. Well, not everyone is so lucky. Olga English took to Facebook last night to detail a really scary scenario where she was stuck in the back of an ambulance with her mother, and she joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Olga, just take us through what happened when you got into an ambulance, and in fact, let's start with why you had to call it.
Yeah, hi, good morning, and thanks for having me. Look, my 92-year-old mum, she had a fall over the weekend, so not to add further pressure to the public health system, you know, we decided to have her scanned privately, which was probably the best thing that we could have ever done. So, you know, the results showed she'd sustained a subdural hematoma, which is, you know, a pooling of the blood around the brain, so it's, you know, fairly serious. We then were advised to call an ambulance to take her to the Royal Adelaide. So, you know, when we arrived at the hospital, you know, I was shocked to see that 11 other ambulances were ramped with patients. You know, they'd been waiting there for a minimum of 2 hours and some of them much longer. You know, you hear stories about wait times over the weekend, but, you know, this was a Monday night. So,
yeah,
you know, we were lucky that we only waited 2 hours as the scans, you know, that we'd had earlier had been sent to the hospital. You know, we didn't have to wait for them to be done. However, you know, had we not done this, I feel, you know, we still would have been sitting there the following morning. You know, what upsets me the most is there were 24 SA ambulance paramedics having to look after ill patients in the back of their ambulances for anywhere up to 6 hours, you know, before they could get back out on the road. And, you know, I'm quite passionate, as you can see. You know, their job is to save lives outside of our hospitals. And how can they do this when this is happening? You know, what's also highly dangerous for them, guys, is that, you know, they're already working a 12-hour shift, and if they're coming to the end of their shift and they then have to ramp for a further 5 hours, you know, they're completing 17-hour shifts, and how is this acceptable for them? You know, I was watching them having to eat food, fast food out in the cold, because they can't have meal breaks because they're having to stay with their patients. So, how is this impacting their mental health and well-being? And, can I please just make a special mention to the two paramedics from Monday night, which was Beck and Renee, outstanding ambassadors for SA Ambulance. They didn't complain for 1 minute about the situation. True professionals, treated my elderly mum, with the utmost respect and compassion. And then we have the medical staff inside the hospital. They know there are 12 ambulances ramping. So how must they be feeling, not only that they're dealing with patients that have been waiting for hours inside emergency, but then, they have 12 other patients waiting outside. So
yeah, no let up at all. How's your mum doing now, Olga?
Yeah, no, look, she's going well. Like I said, we were lucky that we had to only wait for a few hours. But, with doctors having apologised to mum, for the wait, why are they having to do it? When we're hearing that the government's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on stadiums, we have this crisis. What are they going to do about it? And, as a, public South Australian, I'm watching the media on this topic, and it's certainly not about who's going to be the best political party to find this magic cure. It's not rocket science. I heard from a top neurosurgeon yesterday there are just not enough beds, which is then causing people to have to wait in the ED, which is then causing this ramping. We're being put at risk, and unless the governments work together to find out a solution, then it's going to continue.
Yeah. Well said, Olga. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for speaking with us. So Deb in Ascot Park has called in with an experience of her own. Deb, what happened to you?
Yes, it was 2 Wednesday nights ago. I suffered from extreme abdominal pain. We called the ambulance and waited for an hour and a half for them to arrive, which is not unusual. They gave me pain relief, which was great, and they said to me, now we'll either take you to Royal Adelaide or Flinders, but at the moment there's 4-hour ramping at both hospitals.
4 hours?
4 hours. And this was a Wednesday. We decided, that I would go to Wakefield Street, and I was seen really quickly, and it was a great experience. The staff were absolutely brilliant. But what bothers me is that I've got private health cover. That experience cost me $510. Yeah. And Medicare will pay 80% of one of the item codes. That item code was $159, so they're paying $130-something. That item code is $210 charged by the hospital above the recommended fee. So it costs you $150 straight up just to go there as an emergency, which is fine. But this $200 above the recommended fee when you're in extreme pain and you're an emergency, and the reason I chose to go there was exactly what the lady was saying, because if I was sitting in an ambulance at the Royal Adelaide for 4 hours, somebody could be dying of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And they need that ambulance.
Not much of a choice, is it? Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it. 8223 is the number. We'll talk more about this a little after 8 o'clock today. But if you've got a story to share, we invite you to do so. You can text us as well on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. 25 after 7. Let's turn our attention to sport. Used vehicle stock always changing at North Point Toyota, Hillcrest Prospect and Port Augusta. It is the North Point way. On the Sports Show last night, Rowie was putting his money where his mouth is.
Cornsey said yesterday the Crows will get smoked by 65 points. I bet him a Rusden Blackgut Shiraz. He wouldn't take the bet. So we've put it to our listeners. We'll see whether they will. Let's go to Gawler. Paul, you going to take the bet?
Yeah, I will, yep.
Okay, what are you going to give me?
Well, a St Hugo Promised Land.
Yeah, that'll do. Done. It's on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just recap. Port Adelaide have to win by more than 11 goals.
Correct.
If they lose or they win by less than that, you win the bet.
Yeah, I win the bet. As simple as that.
You get Paul's prize.
I get Paul's prize,
Righto.
exactly. Yeah, let's go, Marco.
I'm a Crow supporter, but I'm pretty sure they're 2.5 goal better team than us, I'd say, so I'll gladly take that bet if you want to. Mate.
Okay, what are you offering me?
Same in return. Bottle of Blackgut for one. Same.
Oh, 1 for 1.
Well done, Marco.
Yeah. Marco, you're in. Done.
Oh, beautiful, mate.
Oh, Tony, how are you?
I'm good, Rowie. I know you love your West End, so I'm not going to be as nice as those guys.
That's right.
I'm going to give you a 30-pack of cans, West End, because I know you love them. And I'll take the bet.
Done. Tony, you're in. Now, that's a bet.
There you go.
30-pack can of West End I can take on the boat. That is a good bet. Hello, Sam.
G'day, mate. Hey, I've got a rooster to put up against your blackgut.
What do you mean, a rooster?
A rooster. I've got a beautiful, big old bloody light Sussex rooster, Boris. He's done a good job. He's been a good boy. I've got a few young cocks coming up through the flock, mate, and I've got to offload him. So I reckon that's a...
He sounds like he's ready for the chopping block, Sam.
Well, he could be. He could be.
Nah,
yeah.
can't take that one. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, what if I throw in some rooster eggs?
Done.
Rooster eggs.
He's got a big show coming up tonight, Stephen Rowe.
I tell you what, he's going to need to get a bigger shed. He's going to get some more of that Charmin shelving to store it all, because at the moment, once he's down for 2 bottles of red, a 30-pack of West End red cans, and a rooster.
He's got Brodie Smith and Connor Rosie on tonight. Huge show ahead of the showdown coming up this weekend. Stephen Rowe, thanks to North Point Toyota, used vehicle stock always changing at North Point Toyota, Hillcrest, Prospect and Port Augusta. It is the North Point way.
In a hurry? We've got you covered at Solitaire Volkswagen with Service Express. You'll still get the same quality service that you'd expect with meticulous care and attention, but at pit crew speed. With 2 technicians working on your car, you can be in and out in 1 hour and enjoy a coffee in our lounge while you wait. Volkswagen Service Express, exclusive to Solitaire Volkswagen. Visit solitairevolkswagen.com.au for more details. DL 65541.
Sliding doors and windows are great until they stop sliding. Then they make this sort of sound. In most cases, the rollers just need replacing, which you can do yourself if you can find the parts. So visit rollerco.com.au, because that's what we do. Parts for just about any sliding door, patio door or window. rollerco.com.au. Parts for sliding doors and windows is what we do. Rollerco. We'll get you rolling.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Mother's Day is this Sunday. I'm glad they wrote that down for me. And what mum wouldn't love, a 12-month subscription to SA Life, South Australia's biggest selling magazine, showcasing the absolute best of Adelaide and South Australia.
We owe the people at SA Life a debt of gratitude, because if not for the fact that they took out this advertisement this week, Will would have forgotten Mother's Day. With this special...
I wouldn't be here in this mortal realm.
He would be in a world of pain. Now, SA Life, fantastic magazine, but what about this? It's not just the mag you're getting for 12 months. Mum will also receive a beautiful posy of flowers delivered to the door with the first issue of SA Life, just in time for Mother's Day, which is this Sunday.
Thank you for that. Then each month, Mum will receive a copy of SA Life delivered to her door, highlighting our state's most spectacular homes, as well as the families who live there, and SA's idyllic gardens, some of which you can visit yourself.
That's right. There's also delicious, easy recipes, a look at the latest fashions, insights into SA's arts and cultural scene, a showcase of the most romantic weddings and more.
There's something for every mum with an SA Life subscription. You'll be spoiling mum every month for the whole year.
Visit salife.com.au/Mother's Day and organise it today. That's salife.com.au/Mother's Day.
It's open season for steam trains in the hills. And to celebrate, Steam Ranger will open its Mount Barker depot doors to the public, heralding the start of vintage steam trains, classic diesels and heritage rail cars through the hills to Strathalbyn and Goolwa, linking the Cockle train to Victor Harbour. Light the fire to your imagination at Steam Ranger's Open Day, with trains of all sizes on display, plus food and other family entertainment. 10 till 4, Sunday the 23rd of May. Free to attend, with train ride tickets selling at Mount Barker Station.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 19 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra Clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
SA's 17th attempt to legalise euthanasia will go before the upper house today. The bill would allow terminally ill people to access drugs, allowing them to end their lives. The legislation includes 68 safeguards and is modelled on Victorian law. A case of extreme speeding on the Southern Expressway. A P-plater was clocked doing 180 in a 100 zone at Trott Park late last night. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson says they caught up with a 17-year-old a short time later.
He was reported for speeding, driving at a dangerous speed, breaching conditions of his licence. The car was impounded for 28 days. He'll be summoned to appear in court, and his car was also defected for some modifications.
A man has been arrested after being spotted driving a stolen car at Croydon Park early this morning. He dumped the Honda Jazz on Alvis Road before climbing onto the roof of a nearby house. The 37-year-old was talked down and arrested. He's facing a range of charges and will front court today. The car had been stolen from Ridleyton last month. South Australia will welcome back New Zealand travellers this morning on the first direct flight since March 2020. Air New Zealand will operate 3 direct services each week as part of the Trans-Tasman bubble. Tourism SA's Rodney Harricks says it will provide a big boost to our economy.
To have that direct service we think is so important. This means jobs, this means employment for our state. It's really, really a big step, and that's why we want to be out there to celebrate and welcome these Kiwis into South Australia.
Former Australian cricketer Mike Hussey has reportedly contracted coronavirus. Local media is reporting the Chennai Super Kings batting coach returned a positive result in India after the team's bowling coach tested positive. The IPL has been suspended indefinitely. President of the AMA, Dr Omar Khorshid, has told Today more support is needed to get all Australians back home.
So that harm, that feeling that you've been abandoned by your government will be being felt very keenly by Australians in India, including now, I guess, our Australian cricketers.
Authorities in Mexico City are promising a full investigation into a train crash which has killed at least 24 people. A metro overpass partially collapsed onto cars below. More than 70 people have been injured. Well, the Duchess of Sussex has another title to add to her CV. Author Nine's Amelia Adams reports from Los Angeles.
It's called The Bench. Meghan using the Duchess of Sussex as her pen name for a children's book she says was inspired by a poem she wrote for Harry in the months after their son Archie was born. It explores the special bond between father and son. Illustrated by Californian artist Christian Robinson, it features a red-headed soldier looking a lot like Prince Harry lifting his boy in his arms. Meghan also plans to narrate an audiobook version.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
Here's Sam Tugwell.
Thanks, Mel. 2 head-related incidents were assessed at the AFL Tribunal last night with contrasting outcomes. Melbourne's Bailey Fritsch is free to play this weekend after the Demons successfully challenged a 1-match striking ban, while a remorseful Swan, Paddy McCartan, copped a 5-match suspension over an incident in the VFL where he punched a player in the head.
I'm gutted, honestly. I just feel terrible about what happened and really want to apologise to everyone. Firstly to Aaron, I'm just really glad that he's okay. I spoke to him yesterday and he let me know that he's alright, which I'm really, really happy about.
The Adelaide Crows are a chance to play 4 straight games at the Adelaide Oval. Early in the week, the AFL rescheduled this weekend's Brisbane and Fremantle game away from Perth, signalling the possibility that the upcoming West Coast Eagles match against the Crows could be moved to Adelaide.
Last year we had to be very flexible with our fixture, and I think that's something we'll just continue to do for the whole season. I'm sure this won't be the first and last time a team probably has to relocate or change their schedule. So, I mean, as a whole footy industry, we've got to be flexible, don't we?
Captain Rory Sloane there. Further to our earlier story, the Indian Premier League has been indefinitely suspended following the COVID-19 crisis in the country. More than 30 Australian cricket players, coaches and staff in India are unable to fly home due to the border closure. Organisers are reportedly weighing up a plan to relocate the tournament to Mumbai in a hope to save it. And to basketball, the Adelaide 36ers final push continues. They secured a second straight win last night, beating Cairns 92-76 at home. And that's 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great deal and 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
Roads looking really good for the drive-in this morning. Main North Road flowing well from Enfield into Scotty's Corner. Green Junction Road also flying well. And Anzac Highway. At the moment, we've got an accident and breakdown free from Glenelg all the way into the city, which is nice. Getting busy in a few spots. Main North Road at Kings Road for works and the freeway up track through Mount Osmond. Speed restrictions there. Leave early if you are heading that way this morning. Thanks to Wario RAA's free app, all South Aussies can now find their cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the My RAA app from your app store today. It's free, even if you're not an RAA member. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
19 for your Wednesday, mostly sunny, partly cloudy tomorrow, 22. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 8. South Australia's on the positive side of the net migration statistic for the first time in 30 years. There's a flood coming. Property prices are already going up. People want to move to South Australia. We think it's time there was a citizenship test, and our listeners are contributing to the questions. I really like this one from Anne, who says, essay entry question, do you let people merge into traffic? No, you're in.
That's right.
Thank you for that, Anne.
Mark in Brompton texted me that too. The question he says should be, question 1, if you see a car in the lane next to you but slightly in front, indicate, do you A, let them in, or B, speed up and block them?
Yeah.
B.
A,
Welcome
go
to
back to where you came from,
yeah,
sunshine.
That's right. Go back to Russia.
Yeah, you can bring that stuff. Yeah, leave that stuff at the border.
That's right.
David in Tea Tree Gully, what would you put on the citizenship test?
Yeah, morning, boys. I'm assuming there's 100 questions.
Yep.
We do really want to keep them out. So question 32 out of 100, pronounce these suburbs correctly.
Okay.
The Barton and Gepps Cross.
Yeah, good.
Geps.
That's good. I like that. I like that. I'm not sure we're doing it to try and keep them out. We just want to make sure they're appropriately educated for when they get in. To help their assimilation.
What about that guy during the White Australia policy? They gave him the language test in 7 different languages. He was a Czechoslovakian physicist, and he passed it in 6 languages. And in the end, they gave him the test in Gaelic. He passed it in like French, German, Italian, English, like you name it.
James in
polyglot.
James in Morfett Vale says, what are the main components of a pie floater? Yes, that would work. We're happy with that.
Does that include the contents of the pie?
Maybe additional points.
We just have to pie sauce.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we could do some more like that. Danny says, how many flavours does the frog cake come in? Thank you for that.
Actually, that's a good question. What's the answer? Is it one? You can get there's a white one too, isn't there?
Is the flavour different? I don't know. This is
I've never
our
eaten one.
long run theory about frog cakes is no
one's
South
ever
Australia's eaten one, which maybe that would be one of the questions too. Tony says Fritz or Devon, potato fritter or potato scallops. Thank you for that. Keep them coming in, 8223 We'll get the citizenship test done by 9 o'clock today for any prospective entrant into our good state. Sean Fuster joins us as we go round the courts on this Wednesday morning. Good morning to you, Sean.
You know, there was a frog cake in the courts once.
Seriously,
standing at the front of the Sir Samuel Way building, waiting for a punter to come out to take a photograph, and a walking frog cake walked out.
Why?
I don't know. To this day,
Was the frog cake on trial?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was charged with being too tasty. I think the jury would probably have to take a bite of that consideration and chew it over for a while.
For offences under the Additives and Colourings Act.
Are you saying that frog cakes aren't naturally green, David? David,
nothing in nature is that green.
I don't know.
There might be a frog in
I've
the
seen
Amazon
envious
that's
people.
green. There's an idea.
Yeah.
Brazilian poison frog cakes.
Hey, Sean,
the ones you use for like arming yourself with a blow dart.
Yeah, they're good for hunting.
Yeah. Why not eat a blow dart?
Couple of big cases featuring discounts at sentencing that you've covered this week. These always infuriate people because there's a sense of diminished justice about them. Just take us through what's happened.
Well, we just joked about multiple bites of a frog cake. Talk about taking multiple bites of legislation. You remember last year, after being strongly encouraged by the opposition, the state government decided to finally abolish and change the sentencing discount laws. At that point, if you pleaded guilty early, you got a 40% discount. Pleaded guilty before trial, you got a 30% discount. Pleaded guilty right up to the start of trial, you got a 10% discount. They cut all that to 25, 15 and 10. Much smaller discounts. What we're seeing now is this phenomenon where defendants and alleged pedophiles in particular like to take multiple runs at the sentencing discount laws. So, for example, Bronte Sirakovic, this is the childcare worker who has now admitted creating child exploitation material out of one of the children that he was supposed to be looking for, after, in a northern suburbs childcare facility. we'd all agree that that offence on its own is absolutely heinous. That's one of the worst things that you can possibly do. He's pleaded guilty to that charge, which gives him a 25% discount. But he's told the court he's potentially going to contest all the other charges they filed against him. So no matter what happens at his trial, he automatically gets 25% off the sentence for one offence. And then he's going to take the taxpayer money and run to trial with the rest of the offences. And then you've got Jad William Brooker. This is the HIV-positive pedophile that we've talked about multiple times, said he was going to infect children and adults with the virus. He's been charged with 44 offences so far. The advertisers revealed that there are about 100 more charges to come. He pleaded guilty to 7 of those charges the day before the sentencing laws were abolished. So he got the 40% before it went out the door. The other day, he's pleaded guilty to 32 more charges. So there's still 5 left hanging. But those new 32, he gets a 15% discount. So how many more times do you get to come to court early and say, oh, I'll take this one, this one? It's like ordering from a menu. I'll take number 5, number 7, number 13, and number 26, but I don't want the rest.
Isn't the whole point of this just to speed up the process when it's an open and shut case and the police have got you nailed to rights and you just say, yeah, I'm guilty?
Well, as someone on my Facebook said, it's supposed to be an example of contrition and remorse. How much contrition and remorse are you showing when you're speeding it in right before the deadline, before the 25 turns to 15, because it's all time-based?
It's totally
certain
cynical.
Number of weeks. It feels completely and utterly cynical.
See, I actually think it's a perversion of the role of the Defence Counsel.
Yeah.
I would have thought that the job of the Defence Counsel is to provide people with the best possible argument against the charges that their client is facing, rather than picking through the legislation this way to work out how best to maximise. I mean, what a hell of a way to make a living.
So you're saying best argument versus best outcome?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this seems to be very much headed towards the best outcome.
Because
it's like a mortgage broker,
my
isn't it?
misty-eyed understanding of how, in a sort of more, I don't know, what's the word? In a more noble era, you think back to Rumpole of the Bailey, and the classic John Mortimer defence lawyer character, and he was duty bound to do the best by his clients on the basis of the evidence, as opposed to sort of picking through the entrails of discounts that. And I take your point too, Sean, about how the opposition did pressure the government into doing this, but I would go back even further than that and say, what was Labor thinking when they brought this in the first place?
Well, that's exactly right. When they brought it in, as you said, Will, it was a complete efficiency measure. John Rao brought this in, and he wasn't shy about that. He said, the courts are backlogged, the courts are log-jammed, we need to speed this through. Let's offer an inducement for people to actually plead guilty.
But what's weird is if you're doing 67 in a 60 zone, which you shouldn't do, but it's still not an offence that is even remotely comparable to what these perverts have done. It's not like when you get your AGL bill where they say if you pay by this date, you don't pay $67. We'll give you a discount of $60. We'll let you pay $60 or $57 or something like that. So us poor schmucks who spend our lives trying to obey the law feel physically repulsed by the concept of anybody harming a child. We don't get discounts. But for the most despicably foul category of crime, you can still get some sort of discount. I don't know anyone who gets the logic of it at all.
And what upsets me particularly about these two is a lot of the time people will say wrongly, okay, downloading child exploitation material is a victimless crime. It's not. Somewhere out there beyond the bounds of South Australia is a child that has suffered in order to create that perverted material. In the case of Sirakovic, by his admission, and in the case of Brooker, by his admission, they have victimised children within our state, sometimes within this very city, in order to create this perverted material. These are kids that are younger than the age of 14, that now have to grow up for the rest of their lives knowing that that material is out there somewhere, because once it's on the internet, you can't get rid of it. And, the guy who did this to me, he got 40% off or 15% off for doing this to me.
They should have a welcome parade the day that bloke arrives at Yatala and quietly alert every bikie to the fact that Mr. HIV-positive kitty fiddler's arrived. I think.
You want to have hours of protest, I think, at that claim. Let's go back and revisit something you said that I think was interesting. Someone posted on your Facebook page. Just the theory behind the showing of contrition. The showing of contrition. You're facing 32 counts.
Well, you've pleaded guilty to 32. You're facing 44.
Okay, sorry, you're facing 44.
And
with 100 to come.
100 to come.
So 44 with 100 to come. And once you got caught, we're rewarding that as contrition, are we?
That's right.
That's built into the system.
Thank goodness
you just slipped
admitted
up a couple of hundred times.
That's right. We've got you absolutely dead to rights, but thank you so much for admitting to this chunk. So here's a discount.
This is not the slip-up, is it?
No, this is not a slip-up.
I'll never do it again.
The government should have another go at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be some kind of control over how many times you can come back, because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing increasingly defence lawyers very cleverly saying, well, you know, if I can get through this much of the case before this date, I can get 25% for my client. I'll make sure I get the 15% on this chunk. What kind of mental gymnastics and mathematics are district court judges going to have to do when you're told, oh, Your Honour, counts 1, 7, 9, 15 and 36 are a 25% discount. Counts 2, 3, 28 and 47 are 15% discount. You know, my brain's rattling already. It's Scott Steiner math, and it just...
Yeah. But, look, this is where the courts have been debased into some sort of, like, Cunningham's Warehouse-style zany discounts. They're not there for that purpose. They're there to get to the bottom of whether people have done bad things or not. And these people, on the face of it, well, some of them, by their own admission, have done the most despicable thing imaginable.
Yeah.
And is 32 guilty pleas out of potentially 144 enough contrition to warrant a discount? Shouldn't there be more on top of that? I pleaded guilty early, yes, but what else have you done?
Yeah,
had you dead to rights.
What this state needs on issues like this in the lead up to the election, and I say this deliberately to annoy our friends at the Law Society, is an old-fashioned style political bidding war on law and order. On this issue, like, full kudos to whichever party goes the hardest to stop this garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, you'll love this text. Kim at Seaton says, guys, loving Sean's Just Lawful show. Best hour of Adelaide radio. Good on you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Bit of a drive-by, considering you could have texted it during Sean's show if you're going to make that kind of claim, but that's
Appreciate
okay.
that.
Pity about the 3 hours we do every day, but, you know, never mind.
The next part of the Hillier triple murder case coming up, 7 o'clock Sunday night. You and Daniel take Adelaide listeners right through that. Looking forward to it. Great to have you in, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Good on you, Sean.
It's 11 to 8. Let's check traffic. Get a great deal in 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
Look out for a smash this morning at Salisbury Plain, Main North Road near Park Terrace. 3 cars involved there, causing a few delays this morning. Sluggish going too. Southern Expressway as you're coming off onto South Road at Tonsley. Quite a bit of traffic this morning at Port Wakefield Road at Salisbury Highway. And the freeway up track through Mount Osman. Slow going at the moment. Speed restrictions in place. Leave early if you're heading that way. Making funeral arrangements can be difficult. When you need to, talk to Alfred James, your family-owned South Australian funeral directors. Alfred James. The final farewell matters. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. At Lynn Andrews Real Estate, we've seen a lot of change in the property market over the last 50 years, but one thing remains constant: our passion to help people invest in the future, to build strong property portfolios in commercial and residential real estate. Our commitment to property investment over the years means we have a wealth of knowledge to share with you. We are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Looking for a gorgeous gift this Mother's Day? Fella Hamilton offers a beautiful, bright gift guide full of stunning pieces. If you can't decide between all the superb accessories and garments available, you can always grab one of their popular Fella Hamilton gift cards. Fella Hamilton take the guesswork out of Mother's Day. For a short time only, you will receive a free gift with purchase. T's and C's apply. So hurry into Fella Hamilton to find the perfect Mother's Day gift. In-store, online or by mail order right now.
Now, imagine going to the deli section of your local supermarket, asking for 500 grams of hickory smoked bacon, and they give you a kilo. I mean, there's a real honesty question there, but also there's how about this? I got a kilo of bacon. Well, we can tell you, that is the business model of our good friends at Westside Energy, but without bacon, David.
That's right. It is a dream scenario for any customer. And look, I'll tell you what, and I feel like a total schmuck. I got my latest power bill. I won't name the company, but let's just say I don't like them very much. You can get off the treadmill. You can get off the power bill treadmill with people like Westside Energy. They are the best in the business. They're the first company in South Australia to double your feed-in tariff. Simply have one of their quality home batteries connected to your current solar setup, and they'll arrange to have the current average feed-in tariff doubled.
I always find it irritating the smugness of people with solar panels and batteries who sort of scoff at people who still get power bills.
Yeah,
and they go,
it's terrible.
"Oh, that's right. I remember that."
That's right.
But I kind of wish I was those people. It also applies if you've got a whole new solar system and battery installed. They will double your feed-in tariff.
So if you've been looking for a solid reason to go solar with battery, this is it. Get in touch with Westside Energy, double your feed-in tariff, eliminate your current electricity bill. Visit westsideenergy.com.au. Some T's and C's apply.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family. The buzz around the new Kluger is huge, so register your interest at Jarvis Toyota, Clovelly Park today. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger Hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
Don't miss the massive trade tool sellout this weekend at Adelaide Tools. Get in quick for 3 big days of red-hot deals on a huge range of trade-quality brands. At Mile End, St Mary's, Lonsdale, Gawler and their massive new Parafield Superstore. You'll find unmissable deals across SA's biggest range of top brand tools and equipment. This Friday, Saturday and Sunday only at the Adelaide Tools Trade Tool Sellout. Adelaide Tools, trusted brands, trusted service since 1949.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Mart's, buy 3 get 1 free on Bridgestone, Ecopia and selected Dunlop passenger tyres. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 to 8, Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News has Wednesday's weather for you. Morning to you, Amelia.
Good morning, guys. Not a bad day ahead today, actually. Nice and sunny, and we're heading into our 2 warmest days of the week. I'll get to them shortly, but it has been a frosty start in some parts. Plenty of centres in the southeast dropped below freezing this morning. Keith was the coldest, minus 1.2. Thanks for coming. In Adelaide, it was 7.2 degrees our low, so that's our coldest morning since around the 21st of April. Not the 5 we were expecting, which I think we're all a little bit grateful for. 4.4 degrees at Elizabeth, though, so still pretty chilly about those northern suburbs. You know, wouldn't be surprised if there were some patches of frost sort of around there and further north. We're going for a top of 19 degrees today, and we're expecting light winds around midday. Now, I don't know if you guys sort of noticed the chill factor yesterday. I'm going to bang into one of your favourite topics when it comes to weather, of apparent temperature. It was quite dry conditions yesterday and light winds, and what that did yesterday was made the feels like temperature quite a fair bit lower than the current temperature. So I remember looking at it around 3 o'clock yesterday. It was 15 degrees, but the feels like temperature was 10. So that's just, you know, there wasn't any sort of wind to sort of move things around. It was quite dry. So certainly we're really noticing the chill in the wake of the cold front that we saw earlier in the week. Thankfully, things are warming up though. So tomorrow we're going for a top of 22 degrees, same on Friday, so get your washing on the line. Saturday is when we can expect a shower or two, you know, maybe a couple of millimetres at best. Sunday, for Mother's Day, few clouds around, so you can't rule out a shower. If we do see one, it'll probably be about the hills and southern suburbs, but it's not looking likely, so that's good. Then we've got another shot at showers on Monday, going for a top of 18 degrees, and that at this stage, it's still a fair way out, but at this stage, it looks like our best shot of a decent drop this week. Long-term rainfall-wise, well, May to July rainfall is meant to be above average across the southern half of the country. Of course, that's including SA. But it doesn't look like that is really going to kick in till late May. So, you know, we do still have what looks like a dry couple of weeks ahead.
Good stuff, Amelia.
Good on you, Amelia. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News with a really thorough look ahead at the weather over the next week and, of course, the next couple of months as well. Now, we have New Zealand flights returning to Adelaide for the first time in over a year. At 10:45 this morning, the first flight out of Adelaide to Auckland is at midday today. And Andy has compiled a list of the best songs to come out of New Zealand. Here's number 5.
asking for a recount, given that he effectively wrote what's regarded as the de facto New Zealand anthem for Slice of Heaven.
Didn't feature on Andy's
Having
list.
said that, that was a good list. I liked it, although I don't see how you can say 6 months in a leaky boat by Split Ends is better than Message to My Girl by Split Ends.
3
That
minutes
song's phenomenal.
to 8. It's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And now, here's a South Australian government minister with another tip for real happiness.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, here's a Liberal minister with some advice. After he's given you his notable quote, you might be asking, why do I bother to vote?
Hello, I'm a South Australian government minister with another tip for real happiness. If you want to be really happy, be a government minister driving a brand new Hyundai Genesis G80 luxury car paid for by the taxpayer. Then you can arrive at a press conference looking like someone who's ready to work hard to make South Australia a better place to live. You general publics don't realise it, but you don't want to see us driving around in a Volkswagen Beetle. That doesn't instill confidence in a person's ability to run the state. That'd be like the Queen of England arriving at Buckingham Palace on a push bike. You wouldn't have Governor Hugh Van Lee living in a home from the Housing Trust. No, we give him a big house on the corner because that's what you expect him to live in. The only way for a politician to convince you, the taxpayer, that your elected representative is worthwhile is to have them driving a car that you yourself can't afford. And when you see us driving by in our $85,000 2.5 litre 4-cylinder Genesis with heated electronic seats, 21 speaker sound system and panoramic sunroof, always bear in mind, we're doing it to make you feel better about us.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life,
you wouldn't want to see us in an Uber.
That's a Liberal minister with some advice. Now that you know what his preferences are, get back to work or someone has to pay for his car.
We'll be back after 8 o'clock with more on 5AA Breakfast.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift.
When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service, and hire.
Get a Toyota forklift.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage 1951 Telecaster? Who gets the jewellery handed down from your great-great-great-grandmother? Who gets the other things that were precious to you? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
Firsts are always special moments. First kiss, firstborn, first to double your feed-in tariff. Westside Energy are the first in SA to double your feed-in tariff. Get a home battery connected to your current solar system or have a new solar system installed plus a home battery, and Westside Energy will double the current average feed-in tariff. Double your feed-in tariff and eliminate your current electricity bill. Visit westsideenergy.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny today and a top of 19. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
Trust Physio Extra. Norwood, Purie Street, Marion, Hallicove, Seaford and Victor Harbour. PhysioExtra.com.
A P-plater has been caught 81 k's over the speed limit in Trop Park overnight. Kendall Brettig reports.
Just before 11 last night, police were doing speed detection duties on the Southern Expressway when they clocked a white Audi travelling at 181 in the 100k zone. They radioed ahead and a patrol was able to safely stop the car on Flinders Drive. The 17-year-old driver from Hawthorne Dean, who was on a P1 licence, was reported for excessive speed, driving at a speed dangerous and breaching a number of conditions revocations of his licence. His car's been impounded for 28 days. And he'll face court at a later date. The Audi was also defected due to modifications which had been made to the mounting of the number plate. And a 37-year-old man will face court after allegedly dumping a stolen car at Croydon Park early this morning and climbing onto the roof of a house to evade police. The Honda Jazz had been stolen from Ridleyton last month.
The voluntary assisted dying bill will return to the upper house today. The legislation, if passed, will give terminally ill patients the right to die if approved by two separate doctors. Labor MP Khayyam Ma says the Victorian model has worked successfully.
This is something we've discussed in South Australia a lot. Since 1995, there have been 16 different bills put before the Parliament. I think what makes it very different this time, we won't be the first. And with the scheme operating, many of the concerns that people have had haven't come to fruition in Victoria, and I think that puts a lot of people's minds, particularly those in Parliament.
Aussies are on the move and choosing SA as their new home. Interstate migration has hit a 30-year high. It's believed the way the state has handled the pandemic, coupled with a cheaper housing market than the eastern seaboard, is driving the surge. Car registration, stamp duty for vehicles, licence fees and the fuel excise could all be dumped in favour of a single road user charge. The radical plan to charge drivers per kilometre has been put forward by the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries. But CEO Tony Webber says it's not about encouraging people to drive less.
We don't want people to drive less. We sell cars, we want them to drive more. But this is an opportunity to get a much better system of taxation around vehicle ownership and have a nationally consistent approach regardless of what kind of technology drives your car.
Ministers from G7 countries are meeting in London. As Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports, Australia has been invited.
Australia's Foreign Affairs Minister Maurice Payne has arrived at Lancaster House here in London for a G7 working dinner with her counterparts from other countries. It's been 2 years since the foreign ministers could meet face-to-face after last year's event was cancelled. On the agenda, some of the world's biggest geopolitical issues, from relations with Russia, China and Iran to the crisis unfolding in Myanmar. Australia is not a member of the G7, but we've been invited as a special guest ahead of the G7 summit with world leaders that'll be held here in the UK next month.
Derek Chauvin's attorney has filed a motion for a new trial claiming jury misconduct. Chauvin is facing 40 years jail over the murder of George Floyd. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
Here's Sam Tugwell.
Thanks, Mel. The Indian Premier League has been indefinitely suspended following the continual rise of COVID-19 in the country. According to local reports this morning, former Test batsman Mike Hussey is the first Australian to test positive for the virus. Cricketers Association boss Todd Greenberg says they're still awaiting confirmation.
I haven't had a chance yet to talk to Mike personally, but they'll be up in a few hours over there in India, so we'll get some clarity on that as quickly as we can.
The Melbourne Football Club is expected to announce a mammoth contract extension today for Premier midfielder Christian Petrarca. The 25-year-old Demon has reportedly signed a $6 million deal set to last until the end of 2029. Meanwhile, the good news keeps coming for Melbourne after their leading goal kicker Bailey Fritsch was free to play this weekend after successfully overturning a one-match ban for striking. AFL umpires head coach Hayden Kennedy has resigned from his role. He was in the role for 8 years at the top job. He umpired 495 games, including 5 grand finals since 1988. A fantastic night for the Aussies at the Madrid Tennis Masters. Alex de Minaur advanced to the 3rd round, while John Millman and Alexei Popyrin both reached the 2nd round. Tonight, Ash Barty plays in the quarterfinal against Petra Kvitova. And Manchester City have progressed to their first UEFA Champions League final after claiming a 2-0 win over Paris Saint-Germain. That's 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great deal and 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
We're seeing some residual delays from a 3-car praying at Salisbury Plain. That's Main North Road near Park Terrace. Avoid that area if you can. Busy on the drive-in, quite a few spots. South Road at Anzac Highway. Slow going Southern Expressway as you're exiting onto South Road at Tonsley. Port Wakefield Road at Salisbury Highway carrying a fair bit of load this morning. And she's slow going the freeway up track through Mount Osman. There are works there and speeds are reduced. Nespresso's double shot espresso or flat white. Treat mum with an espresso Vertuo coffee machine this Mother's Day and save up to $100. Exceptions and T's and C's apply. Nespresso, what else? Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Mostly sunny today, 19, partly cloudy tomorrow, 22, Friday much the same, also 22. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Olga English took to Facebook last night to detail a really scary scenario.
Look, my 92-year-old mum, she had a fall over the weekend. Not to add further pressure to the public health system, we decided to have her scanned privately, which was probably the best thing that we could have ever done. The results showed she'd sustained a subdural hematoma, which is, a pooling of the blood around the brain. We then were advised to call an ambulance to take her to the Royal Adelaide. When we arrived at the hospital, I was shocked to see that 11 other ambulances were ramped with patients. They'd been waiting there for a minimum of 2 hours and some of them much longer. This was a Monday night. What upsets me the most is there were 24 SA ambulance paramedics having to look after ill patients in the back of their ambulances for anywhere up to 6 hours before they could get back out on the road.
Sean, you'll love this text. Kim at Seaton says, guys, loving Sean's Just Lawful show. Best hour of Adelaide radio. Good on you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Bit of a drive-by, considering you should have texted it during Sean's show if you're going to make that kind of claim. But that's
Appreciate
okay.
that. Pity about the 3 hours we do every day, but never mind.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, breaking 8 coming up in a moment. Lots of suggestions for the citizenship test coming through with South Australia riding the ship when it comes to interstate migration. We're getting more people in than we're getting out. First time in 30 years. I like this from Michael Smith from 7 News that we spoke with earlier. We flashed back with Michael. On every test, there's the essay segment. We got to write about and explain something. He says this. Explain this sentence. Was driving down to the bay to see Cornsey, enjoying a Fritz and sauce sanger in a farmer's union, when a fruit shock fell from the sun visor, and as KG would say, strike me pink. I smacked into a Stobie. I reckon if you can do that, you're in. You're in. We just needed to tighten things up. Citizenship test. You got a suggestion? 82230000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line.
I've got one reverse idea. Explain the significance of the old gum tree at Glenelg. And if you can answer it, you're not allowed in. Because I don't think anyone in South Australia knows what the old gum tree means.
Because we don't want any smart Alex coming in.
No, exactly.
That can start telling us more than we know about the place.
What happened to the old gum tree? Something happened.
It was really good. Time for breaking up.
We are going to ask the minister in charge of the homelessness shake-up, Michelle Ensing, to come on the show either tomorrow or Friday, because we are hearing some pretty disturbing claims from within the industry about the impact that these changes are going to have on people who are doing it tough. Now, one thing I would say is that this sector is wholly staffed by people who are innately good and not troublemakers, and they're not the type of people who are prone to causing trouble. I mean, there's no homeless union. There's no rabble-rousers within the homelessness sector. These are people who have historically been driven by a real sense of duty, have gone into a sector where you don't actually get paid much money. They're just, and often it's a faith-based decision that these people have made. But at the moment, I think the word that you'd use to describe the reaction of people working in the homelessness sector is dismay. And much of that dismay is centring less around what it means for them in their jobs and more about what it means for the people who rely on the services that they provide. Now, we have it on good authority that Lutheran Care, which won the tender heading up that alliance under the government's new funding model, has indicated that it has absolutely no intention of funding city-based emergency accommodation. So what that means is that the 47 men in Whitmore Square who rely on St Vincent de Paul and the 20 women who rely on the emergency services that are provided by Catherine House, as things currently stand, based on the indications from Lutheran Care, and we stress that they're early indications, but there's 67 people there who currently have access to a service that may no longer exist. Now, we understand the government might be of the view, and the department might be of the view, that there's a better way to manage and streamline services. So you could charitably say that the fact that 67 people are going to miss out on this type of city-based care is an oversight. Well, it's an oversight that, in our view, needs to be fixed pretty quickly. And it's for that reason that we would love to give the Minister a chance to come on and explain whether that's something that is intentional or acceptable, or whether it's something which she as Minister intends to address as a matter of urgency.
The old gum tree. 1836, 28th of December, John Hindmarsh delivered the proclamation announcing...
that South Australia was a colony.
No, the nickname for the NBL franchise that would come about 100-something years later. 13 minutes after 8. We wanted to follow up a story that broke on our program yesterday. We spoke with Phil Palmer from the Ambulance Association about a story regarding a 10-year-old who had failed to get appropriate attention from an ambulance. He had this to say.
At one point, 125 patients waiting in ED, waiting for a bed. So all hospitals had people waiting. That meant that out on the road, there was at one point, there were 3 priority ones that the ambulance service was struggling to cover, one of which was a 10-year-old. So that's a 10-year-old with life at risk. That's what priority ones are, life risk cases. So that at one point yesterday, there were 3 of them that didn't have an ambulance to cover. There's a terrible toll on not only the family, obviously, of the child, but of the attending crew and the poor people in the communications room trying to find a resource to send to some case that they know, is life and death, especially for a child, but for anybody. There was also priority 2s pending, 7 of them with no ambulance to attend. Solo responders who were supposed to be backed up quickly. They were waiting 3 or 4 hours for a paramedic crew to back them up and help them and convey the patient if that was needed. We had 1 single responder on a priority 1 at a cardiac arrest, having to wait 20 minutes or so for a crew to come and help them.
We spoke with the Health Minister, Stephen Wade, after that, who said he wants to check the detail. He wasn't convinced that it happened as Phil Palmer explained it. Well, we followed up and got a statement that it comes from the SA Ambulance Service, and it reads thus. SAAS can confirm that its crews were called to attend a 10-year-old patient on Sunday. Any suggestion that the priority 1 patient waited over 20 minutes for emergency care is incorrect. An ambulance and a solo extended care paramedic were immediately dispatched. The extended care paramedic arrived to the patient in a difficult location within 10 minutes. Extended care paramedics are highly trained intensive care paramedics who can also play a key role in reducing wait times and delivering life-saving treatment. Solo paramedic response models are used around the world, and the approach is extremely effective in helping SAAS set eyes on a patient, provide immediate treatment and be off to the next call as soon as possible, while the patient's care is continued by ambulance crews as they transport to hospital. So what they're saying is, you see the smaller, the little station wagon style ambulances that drive around.
Yeah, right.
One of those got there within time.
And they're saying that was enough.
And they're saying that's the standard, that's what we do. Phil Palmer's saying, well, the full one, that it took far longer for the full ambulance to get there than is ideal in a priority 1 case.
But the ambulance service says that an acceptable level of care was provided by the first responder.
Yep.
There was another case on Monday where an 11-year-old who had a medical emergency waited at Seaford for 34 minutes. And the KPI, which is the acceptable, sorry, shouldn't even use that stupid term, KPI, the acceptable response time is 16 minutes, and that was 34, we understand.
16 after 8. Good text on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line on the issue of the emergency accommodation beds. Person says it's 67 people, not 67 beds. Nobody disagrees with more money for preventative measures, but that shouldn't come at the cost of emergency accommodation. There will always be people that require those services. Why are we trading one for the other?
Yeah, I know. Bizarre.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Tom Duday coming up in just a moment. But let's check traffic first. Get a great deal in 3-year free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles. Dave Potter Honda.
Still seeing some residual delays from an earlier praying at Croydon, South Road near Port Road. 3 cars involved there. That's inbound. Traffic slow around the area. Getting busy at Richmond Road at South Road. Sluggish Grand Junction Road at Main North Road today. Anzac Highway from Cross Road also quite busy. And fair bit of traffic this morning slowing things down at North East Road from OG Road on the drive-in. Style your home with Freedom Homewares. Right now, get up to 30% off all homewares, including up to 30% off rugs, throws, wall art, mirrors and more. On now, only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sport Show.
Causey said yesterday the Crows will get smoked by 65 points. I bet him a Rusden Blackgut Shiraz he wouldn't take the bet. So we put it to our listeners. We'll see whether they will. Hello, Charlie.
I've got a nice Shiraz and it's called Magic Melody.
Charlie, done.
4 p.m. weekdays.
I just Googled Charlie's Magic Melody. It's $14 a bottle.
Oh, was it?
So you're giving up a $90 bottle.
Rowie Sport Show on 5AA. For over 36 years, Steinborner certified cars has always exceeded expectations on value, service and selection, and that continues. That's why it's always well worth a trip to Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nuriotpa and Clare for great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis, plus SA's biggest and best range of used cars. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range of cars now at steinborner.com.au and join the thousands who know. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
Pardon? Sorry?
Huh?
What? Pardon? Sorry?
Huh?
What?
Tired of living with the pardon, sorry, huh, and what's? Then it's time to stop ignoring the what's, especially with hearing loss linked to other health issues, like dementia. At Audica, we specialise in personal hearing health that's tailored to you. Visit audica.com.au to book your free hearing health check. Be hearing healthy with Audica. Free hearing health check available to adults aged 26 or over.
Now, how about this? The Hospital Research Foundation, they're back with an incredible lineup of prizes to be won. They're always incredible. This time, it includes a $3.4 million grand prize, which is another incredible Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton. Plus, it comes with $1 million cash.
Yeah, just picture this. Waking up in this 4-bedroom family home, 180-degree views of the coastline, watching the beautiful Adelaide sunsets from your lounge room or balcony, and you have views of the iconic Brighton jetty.
And not only that, but there's over 15,000 amazing prizes, and when you buy tickets early, you're entered into even more draws.
Tickets in the last home lottery sold out early. They always do. I don't think we even need to advertise that fact anymore.
No.
You
Get in fast.
You've got to be good to get a ticket. So make sure you do that. Be quick and get your chance to live the dream mortgage-free. Visit homelottery.com.au.
Make up for lost time on the high seas at the Phil Hoffman Travel Cruise Sail Day. It's time to start planning for that long-awaited holiday. Join the cruise experts for a day of exclusive deals, Saturday the 15th of May. There's cruises close to home departing from Adelaide or further afar like New Zealand, South Pacific, Hawaii, Europe, Asia and more. Register at pht.com.au. Jump back on board with Phil Hoffman Travel, proudly South Australian and here for you.
For over 2 decades, Avanti Care have delivered care with purpose to thousands of South Australians. And now we're thrilled to announce the opening of our new wellbeing hub on Fullerton Road, Kent Town. Like everything we do at Avanti Care, our wellbeing hub has real purpose, delivering a full range of healthcare services in one location, including physio, occupational therapy, speech pathology, dietetics and podiatry. For more on our wellbeing hub, visit avanticare.com.au.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
It's 21 minutes after 8. Thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest PC and server manufacturer, built and serviced right here in Adelaide.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Tom Duday from the Adelaide Football Club joins us each and every Wednesday morning. Morning to you, Tom.
Good morning. How are we going?
We're good, Tom. Now, we started chatting off air then, saying we don't really need to dwell on the events of last Saturday too much, do we?
No, we'll just leave it at the Pembo curse continues, and I think we move on from there.
Yeah, would you like to make a prediction about this week?
No, you can keep that to yourself.
yeah.
Unless you want to predict Port and jinx them.
Oh, no, well, I tried to put the mockers on Koshy the other day. I said, oh, mate, in current form, you'd have the 4 points in the bank, wouldn't you? It'd be pretty embarrassing if you lost this one. Trying it for a bit of reverse psychology there.
He is hoping.
But how do you bounce back, though, after a loss like that? Because I think there's a general consensus that it was an ugly flashback to some of what we saw in 2020, whereas the previous 6 rounds, even with a loss against Hawthorn, like you're on fire for the first half, it felt like the one game so far this year where nothing nice happened.
Yeah, I think the biggest aspect, especially with a young group, is just to not run away from it. I think with our group, there was a little bit of the fundamental stuff again, that skills. We turned the ball over a bit too much, and we got beat through the clearances, and then forward entry probably wasn't where it needed to be. They were able to get on top of us there, and I think you just got to review it as if it went wrong, like it wasn't our best day, but you just can't go too far either way. You can't go too far and just berating the players like this was terrible, this was bad, we need to get better here, but you can't go too far and go and, look guys, we had a bad day, let's move on. And we've tried to take the approach with the young group, let's show them what we can do better, but let's also pump up what we did well. And I think obviously it was a disappointing game, and that shades of 2020 stuff, that's what hurts us, because we know last year we were pretty poor, but going forward, there was definitely a few things that if we can adjust here and there, get that right, it's definitely a closer game.
You were drafted in 2015, so by your second year, you were in an environment where a club was competing for a premiership, made a grand final. Is it tough trying to impart on guys who've only been in for 2 years where there hasn't been a lot of success, what it actually takes to sustain winning?
It's not tough to impart that, because I think especially this group, they get it already. They may not get consistently the standards that needs to be set in terms of training and game and everything like that, but in terms of working hard, extras, knowing the level and knowing that we've got to keep building this, they're pretty good. And it's not something that we're having leaders meetings pulling our hair out going, how do we get these boys on the track? How do we get these boys working harder? They're all good in that area. It's just going to be that in time, experience is going to allow these boys that when it comes to crunch time in a second quarter, when GWS get on a 2-3 goal run, they know that this is when we need to steel ourselves. We need to get a clearance here, get the ball forward and get a goal back. And at the moment, when we've got blokes that have only played 4, 5, 6 games, we're just struggling a little bit in that area.
It was weird though, because it felt like the first 6 games of the year, like even the FIVEaa game, which was the one game I've attended live this year, it even felt like in that third quarter that we were still in it, but it just felt like there was like a despondency or like a sort of sense of, oh, geez, we're stuffed here. Like it felt like it got into the team on the day. I don't know. Is that a fair assessment as a fan?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think
because all the other games were having a real crack.
Yeah, and I've heard that a little bit. I think with our group, it's not something that's super noticeable early on in the game, but then in the third against FIVEaa, the fourth against Hawthorn, a little bit against GWS in that second when they went on a run, we sort of go away from what we know, and you can sort of feel it on the ground, but it's hard to, at this stage, it's hard to shift it, and we're working on that. We're working on being able to, whether it be a call from the runner that gets out and says something, or whether it's we put our hand up and yell out something out to each other that makes sure we go back to what we do, but we sort of, in times when teams are getting on top of us, we go away from what we know best. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to get back to our best in game. We have to sort of wait till next week to reload, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of that does come with experience, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's part of it. And we're not using that as an excuse, because we still feel like we're good enough to compete with the teams that we've lost to these past 3 weeks, and we have competed. But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
potential for the skipper to come back this week, which would be a big in. Obviously, he's got clear a couple of hurdles just yet. Is it a bit different this one though, in terms of it's not a hamstring injury? You can't sort of go, mate, how's it feeling in terms of getting across the ground well or whatnot. It's one that has ramifications beyond footy. It being an eye injury, detached retina is a pretty nasty sort of an injury. Have you spoken to him about it? Have you got any sense of how he's feeling?
I haven't spoken to him directly about the eye. I know that. That he's keen to play. Obviously, it's a showdown. You want to come back for that. But for him, it's about getting over the hurdle of main training, but then also getting ticked off by the specialist to make sure that there isn't any further risk, because he's obviously such a valuable part to our team that we want him back. He's our skip. He's our leader, spiritual leader. But Yeah, as you said, the eyes are, it's a pretty big deal. It's not
Yeah.
something you can just touch up later on and hope that it's good. So I know that he'll take every measure to make sure he's good to go. But from what I know, if he gets ticked off by the specialist, gets through main training, he's ready to roll.
One of your other leaders has been one of the success stories of the year. Taylor Walker's kicked 27 goals. He's been absolutely on fire. A bit of discussion interstate during the week that, you know, he clearly would like to go on for another year when people weren't sure that was going to be the case. Would you like to see him play on?
I mean, absolutely. If you've watched any of our games this year, I think so. Yeah, because he's massive. Obviously, on field, he's stood up, especially like Gold Coast kicking 3 in that first quarter, and it's not just the total goals; it's how he's getting them. It's not just through hit ups; it's through out of the ruck and everything. But then also the moments that he's getting them has been just huge for our young group. But then off field, the leadership stuff and the ability to grab blokes after training, he's been massive for us, and I know he wants to go on. So I think that'll be something that'll get done eventually, and both sides will be happy with it.
Now, no, Tom, the footballing cliche is always 1 week at a time, but when you look at the next 4 weeks, does it feel a bit like the Mount Everest of football is approaching the Adelaide Football Club?
Good change up your wheel, hey, Penbo, looking forward to the next 4 weeks.
I'm not making any tips for the next 4 weeks either.
No, it's it'll be a good challenge, and yeah, it's 1 week at a time in the sense that obviously Showdown week, it's pretty hard to look past Showdown week, but
yeah.
When you look at the group we've got and how hungry we are to prove people wrong, and we have just the first 4 or 5 weeks of the year, I think it's pretty exciting 4 weeks, as much as it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. What's it like being a Crows player at a Port home game? I know they get all excited about their never tear us apart, carry on, and everything else. Does that have a Harker-like quality as a Crows fan? As a Crows player standing out there, does it get under your skin a bit?
Not really. I reckon it's pretty, this sounds wrong as a Crows fan, but it is pretty cool. I'm a massive fan of soccer, footy, NFL, everything, and I love the chants and the way that crowds get up and about in college football and soccer and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to have 50-odd thousand people just screaming out together in unison. But as a player, you listen to it and whatnot, but it actually makes you almost more focused for the game. It doesn't get under your skin in the sense that you get nervous. It almost actually focuses you because you know that you got a pretty hostile environment here, and you've got a job to do against what's a pretty good team at the moment.
And just in a word, because I don't think we've spoken to it since you were last in NFL draft, biggest storyline: Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. What do you like?
If Aaron Rodgers would have been in the draft, if you had traded him, that would have been the biggest story of probably the last 3 or 4 years, I would imagine. But no, I reckon I'm a Pats man at heart. So for Mac Jones to fall, and that means I don't have to watch Cam Newton short-arming passes from about 5 yards away. That's probably my favourite, I reckon.
Good stuff. Good on, Tom. Good to have you in, mate. All the best for the weekend.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Leader Computers, Australia's largest PC and server manufacturer, built and serviced right here in Adelaide.
You're not going to believe this airfare deal from Rex. Adelaide to Melbourne, just $59. You heard right, Melbourne for $59. And that's a full service, including checked baggage and onboard refreshments. Rex is Australia's largest independent regional and domestic airline, and they're bringing some of their famous country hospitality to the city. Plus, you can get a full refund should any COVID-related disruptions occur. Book now at rex.com.au. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is only available for a limited time or until sold out.
Ready for adventure? Dave Benson Caravans have over 120 caravans and campers ready for your next one. With overseas travel off the cards for a while, invest your holiday dollars in a DBC caravan. Your valued dollars don't disappear. They remain in the asset of your luxury van. And you get to enjoy a holiday, seeing Australia's beauty. Come see the caravan specialists at Dave Benson Caravans to tailor your dream holiday on wheels. Your adventure begins here. 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 19 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Keep your body in shape with Physio Extra Clinical Pilates and group exercise classes. PhysioExtra.com.
Former Australian Test cricketer Stuart MacGill was kidnapped last month and held for ransom in Sydney by an alleged criminal group. MacGill was reportedly abducted at gunpoint from Cremorne on Sydney's lower North Shore about 2 weeks ago. It's believed he was assaulted before being released. Police are raiding a number of homes over the alleged extortion. A P-plater has been busted doing 180 kilometres an hour on the Southern Expressway at Trott Park. Senior Constable Kylie Simpson says he was clocked late last night.
The police officer quickly radioed patrols further ahead who were able to safely stop the Audi on Flinders Drive. So they spoke to the 17-year-old Hawthorne Dean man. Checks revealed that he had a P1 licence.
He's been reported for excessive speed, driving at a speed dangerous and breaching a number of conditions of his licence. The Audi was also defected due to number plate modifications. A man will face court after allegedly dumping a stolen car at Croydon Park early this morning. The 37-year-old from Virginia then climbed onto the roof of a house to try and evade police. He was arrested and charged with illegal use and being unlawfully on premises. SA will welcome back New Zealanders this morning on the first direct flight since international border restrictions were put in place. Direct flights from Auckland as part of the Trans-Tasman bubble will operate 3 times a week. Tourism SA's Rodney Harricks says it's an exciting step forward in our recovery.
New Zealand is South Australia's 4th largest international market pre-COVID, about 43,000 Kiwis coming into South Australia each year, and that's about $45 million to our economy.
South Australia is enjoying its biggest interstate migration numbers in 3 decades. We're welcoming the most new residents since 1992 and stemming the so-called brain drain, which has seen many young people leaving the state for opportunities elsewhere. Treasurer Rob Lucas says we have a lot to offer.
People have recognised that South Australia, in terms of how we've handled COVID-19, has been probably as good as anybody in the world, frankly. But secondly, clearly there's now strong prospects of jobs growth in the future with defence and shipbuilding, submarines, space agency, cyber security.
Sportsgirl is being sued for almost $2.5 million over unpaid rent for a store in Melbourne. The case is shaping up as a test of the nation's retail rent laws. The chain refused to pay rent during the coronavirus lockdowns in Victoria, while the Just Jeans group, backed by retail billionaire Solomon Lew, is also being sued for $3.6 million in unpaid rent at a number of its stores. The Duchess of Sussex has another title to add to her CV. Author Nine's Amelia Adams reports from Los Angeles.
It's called The Bench. Meghan using the Duchess of Sussex as her pen name for a children's book she says was inspired by a poem she wrote for Harry in the months after their son Archie was born. It explores the special bond between father and son. Illustrated by Californian artist Christian Robinson, it features a red-headed soldier looking a lot like Prince Harry lifting his boy in his arms. Meghan also plans to narrate an audiobook version.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
And it's over to Sam Tugwell.
Thank you, Mel. The Indian Premier League has been indefinitely suspended due to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis in India. According to local reports this morning, former Test batsman Mike Hussey is the first Australian to test positive for the virus. Only 3 Aussie players managed to fly home in time before the borders shut to India last week. And Cricketers Association boss Todd Greenberg hopes to bring the rest of them home.
We're obviously in dialogue with our players and we'll find them a passage home. That'll be a 2-step process, obviously, given that there are no flights back into our country. So there'll be a destination first and then ultimately a home passage back to Australia at the right time.
Crows captain Rory Sloane is all but cleared to play in this weekend's Showdown 49 against the Power. Sloane has been sidelined for the last 4 weeks with a detached retina, but teammate Tom Doedee told 5AA Breakfast a meeting with his specialist today is the last box to tick.
I know that he's keen to play. Obviously, it's a Showdown, you want to come back for that, but for him it's about getting over the hurdle of main training, but then also getting ticked off by the specialist to make sure that there isn't any further risk, because he's obviously such a valuable part to our team that we want him back. He's our skip. I know that he'll take every measure to make sure he's good to go.
Heading into state, and the Demons had a win at the AFL Tribunal overnight, with Bailey Fritsch free to play after overturning a one-match ban for striking. Meanwhile, Sydney Swan Paddy McCartan has been handed a 5-match suspension for a punch to the head in the VFL. And in basketball, the Adelaide 36ers claimed their second straight win as they pushed for the finals. They beat the Cairns Taipans 92-76. And that's 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great deal and 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
Seeing some residual delays from an accident at Croydon, South Road near Port Road. 3 cars involved there. That's inbound and traffic is slow around that area. Busy in a few spots on the way in. Grange Junction Road at Main North Road. Anzac Highway busy. That's from Cross Road and North East Road from OG Road. A couple of speed cameras to look out for. Lions Road, Holden Hill and Main North Road at Blair Raffle. Stay healthy with Jazz Apple is the perfect snack on the go. They're in season now and taste great. Look for the blue apple sticker at your supermarket or grocer. Jazz Apples. Taste the crunch. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
19 mostly sunny today, 22 and partly cloudy tomorrow. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Dr. Greg Keane explains how SportsMed puts patients first every day.
SportsMed is different. We have a clinic and hospital with specialists, doctors, physios and podiatrists all together in one location. There's also pathology, radiology, pharmacy and a cafe. This makes life easier for our patients because their appointments can all happen right here. It also lets us diagnose issues quickly, leading to high quality, cost-effective care.
And their patients love it. SportsMed.
Start living life again with our expert help.
Sportsmed.com.au.
No, cheapest chips time. I love doing these. Saturday's fast approaching, and this Saturday isn't just any old Saturday, no siree, Jack. It is Super Saturday at your local cheapest chips. Tell us about the products, Will.
Well, first, I can do a bit of a breaking at 8:37 this morning. There's genuine concerns. There's going to be issues at the Showdown crowd this weekend because they're up against cheapest chips Super Saturday.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of free tickets out there, is all I'm saying. Real concerns.
Yeah.
Sub 20 crowd.
Koshy held a secret meeting about it.
Yeah, they are. They're just giving away to anyone. If you're in need of some new furniture, there's Malta lounge sets, only $259 and 20% off Rattan furniture range.
Rattan, I think it is.
Rattan, like, isn't the old thing you get belted with?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Interesting thing to name your furniture after, isn't
that's
it?
right. Yeah.
A pain.
Keep that up and you'll get the birchy stick.
42-inch FHD Android TVs are going for $399. Perfect to make some snacks while vegging out in front of your new telly. Air fryers are only $119.
They're all the go these days for those people who worry about things like cholesterol.
And you've always said this, David. They say summer bodies are made in winter. Get a head start with a magnetic elliptical cross trainer for just $199. These deals and more available for one day only and while stocks last, so be quick.
And you can use all of those things at the same time too. You can use the air fryer while on the elliptical cross trainer. For more Super Saturday deals, see the back page of this week's Cheapest Chips catalogue or check them out for yourself at your local Cheapest Chips this Saturday.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Just announced National Flesh and Blood Tour. It's on this July. He'll be here in Adelaide at the Thebarton Theatre on the 16th of July. The tickets you can get from midday today. The album comes out on the 2nd of July and he joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Now, Jimmy, good morning to you, mate.
G'day, guys. How are we?
We're good, Jim. Always great to catch up. I saw you doing this song the other night on TV on the, was it the Songs from the Homefront program a couple of Saturdays ago? Cracking tune.
Right. Yeah, thanks. It's, there's a bit of work that I did during lockdown. So it's really, there's a bunch of really good songs on this record. I'm very pleased with it.
Can I just ask you, mate, as a bloke who, starting at the Largs Pier and filling some of the nation's biggest arenas over more than, 40 years, how exciting is it, the prospect of being back playing at I'm not sure what the capacity will be, but it'll still be, compared to last year, a relatively packed Thebarton Theatre?
Yeah, I think we're actually, by the time we come out, hopefully we're going to be on full capacity, which should be awesome. So, you know what? It's really great. I mean, I love, because, anybody who was watching us online would know that Jane and I were doing songs, over the lockdown period. So we did about 200 songs online.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. I've never spent that much time in one place in my life. But we sat still for a year, and every night we'd do a song onto the internet, and I sort of learned a whole bunch of new things about singing and about approach and about myself and all that sort of stuff. But when you step out on stage and there's a live crowd there, there's nothing better, and it just brings out the best in the performance. And it's just exciting to get back out there. And I've done a couple of shows earlier in the year, and I know that the audiences are the same. When they get the opportunity to get out and cut loose, and out with their mates, and and have some fun, it's the best.
The thing I liked about watching the song the other night was all of you in was that your own living room, or was it like a?
Yeah, that's my lounge room.
You must have a good local Persian rug dealer, mate, because I love the way you the floor was covered with those rugs. But
yeah.
So the family, are they the touring band as well? Like your son Jackie, is he on the road with you?
Yeah, Jackie plays drums, and on the record he played drums and he played a bit of piano and he sings a duet. Mahalia tours and does backing vocals with me when she's not doing her own shows. Jane sings and plays acoustic guitar and plays bagpipes with me on the road. EJ, my number 2 daughter, is coming out on the road for the Flesh and Blood tour. Ellie Mae is going to come and do some shows with me on the Flesh and Blood tour. So it's and Ben, who was playing guitar on that show, is actually engineered the album, played bass and some guitar on the record too. So it's like a big family affair.
And the other night you did a superb version, I thought, of Flame Trees, which is almost should really be Australia's national anthem, if you ask me. In the live show, do you do a bit of the old stuff as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the album's 10 songs. So, we'll be doing, 20, 25 songs in the night. So there'll be all the hits, I'll pick the eyes out, play some really great, some things that people really love, some old, a bit of old chisel. There's certain songs as a performer, when you play it, when you make so many records over a period of time, if you go out and play a show and you don't play the hits, I think it's letting your audience down.
Yeah, well, they've been with you all that time, haven't they?
If I go see a band and they only play the new album, don't play any of their songs that I love, I'm not going to be happy. So I always play the big hits and the ones that people really love, and I try to find some of the more obscure ones from the albums that I know that people like but haven't heard as much.
Yeah.
And then of course I want to feature all this new material though.
What's your favourite Chisel song to perform?
It's pretty hard to go past Flame Trees. I mean, just for there's a lot of great Chisel songs, but I mean, particularly that song because it was written by Steve, my dear friend from Adelaide, and because we lost him, way too early. But it's a beautiful song, great melody, and there's something that started happening in the last year or so. I think it was about a year ago. We were doing the song, and it came to the chorus. And my mic didn't work or something broke down or something, and the crowd started singing it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not one of these singers who makes the crowd sing all night, because I figured that they pay to see me sing, so I better do it. But the crowd sang, and it was such an emotional moment. So we sort of let every time that last chorus comes up, we let the crowd sing it, and it's such an emotional moment because it just feels like it's a song that brings the audience and the band and everybody together.
Yeah, such a superb song. And to end on a slightly wistful note too, speaking of lost friends, Flesh and Blood, dedicated to your great friend Michael Goodings. Barnesy,
I mean,
all the very best for the tour, mate. Friday, July 16 at the wonderful Thebby Theatre, and general tickets go on sale today at midday. Hopefully we'll catch up with you when you're in town too, mate.
We'll speak to you then, pal. I think the Adelaide audience are going to relate to a lot of these songs. I've written about a lot of things that I went through when I grew up in Adelaide.
Yeah, excellent. Can't
Good on
wait.
you guys. All the best.
Good on you,
Cheers.
Jimmy.
You can get Jimmy Barnes tickets at frontiertouring.com/Jimmy Barnes. Plug it into your phone now because they go on sale at midday today. Lucy's wandered into the studio with some fuel information for us. Fuel Watch, thanks to Dave Potter Honda, Brighton Road, Glenelg South. What have you found out, Luce?
Well, yesterday we were talking about real-time pricing and the apps. Everyone's saying I should use the FIVEaa app. Well, I'm sticking with my beloved Petrol Spy.
Okay.
And I was about to write down on my sheet for you, Will, that the Woolies Caltex on Main North Road in Prospect was $1.21. Literally, as I was typing it, it changed to $1.59.
Jeez, you got to be quick.
I saw the numbers literally change in front of my eyes. So if you are in Prospect on Main North Road, it is now $1.59 at that Woolies Caltex. So Petrol Spy still does the real-time pricing, but of course the FIVEaa app just as good. Other cheap petrol, though, this morning, $1.21 at the OTR on the corner of Jetty Road and Victoria Road in Largs Bay, $1.29 on the corner of Westlakes Boulevard and Frederick Road. A couple of surveys around the South Road, Dawes Road intersection are all in the mid-$20s. $20s. If you're up in the not the mid-north, just the north, plenty of servos in Salisbury and Parafield Gardens in the $20s. Sadly, if you're in the east, pretty slim pickings for cheap fuel. The best bet is the Coles Express on the corner of St Bernard's Road and Montacute Road. It's in the $30s there.
Good on you, Luce. Some breaking news. Nine Australia reporting 4 men have been arrested over the alleged kidnapping of former Test cricketer Stuart McGill.
What?
Yeah, this is an extraordinary story. Just that there's only small details around. Apparently, he was kidnapped a couple of weeks ago for a period of some hours. He was assaulted badly.
You're kidding me?
And it was an investigation ongoing into some sort of extortion that had been going on.
That wasn't known previously.
No, that hasn't been known until the last hour or so. But the latest news is the 4 men have been arrested over that case.
That's staggering.
All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter.
We're going to have more on that in the 9 o'clock news.
Okay,
Mel's all over it.
All right, used vehicle stock. The great deal in 3 years free scheduled servicing on executive-driven vehicles at Dave Potter Honda.
Residual delays still causing a few headaches at Croydon, South Road near Port Road after an earlier 3-car prank. That's inbound. Getting busy, Grand Junction Road at Main North Road, slow going Anzac Highway from Cross Road, and quite heavy going today, North East Road from OG Road. A couple of speed cameras to look out for, Muller Road, Hampstead Gardens and Military Road at Taparoo. Dig in with delivery from KFC. Get 24 nuggets for $10 delivered through the KFC app. But remember, offer is delivered in SA only, not everywhere and not forever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is here with a $3.4 million grand prize. You could be living the dream mortgage-free in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton. Plus, it comes with $1 million cash. With over 15,000 incredible prizes to win, you've got a 1 in 15 chance of winning. Join the fight for cures, better treatments and improved care by purchasing your ticket today at homelottery.com.au. Licence M139989.
Varlo. It means light. The perfect description of the new light-filled apartments at West, with views of Linear Park and the Grange Golf Club. Cycle or stroll Linear Park. Play a round of golf. Paddle on the lake. Grab a coffee on Charles Street or hit the beach. Whether you're staying in or going out, Varlo at West has it all. But you better be quick. Over 50% have already been sold. Don't miss out. Bring your dreams to light at Varlo. Visit varlowest.com.au.
New Age Caravans Adelaide has a brand new showroom on North East Road with the best caravan facilities in the state. And to celebrate, they're throwing a 10-day grand opening super sale. Get up to $5,000 of free accessories when you buy any New Age caravan. And there's even limited pre-Christmas build spots available. Don't miss the New Age Caravans Adelaide grand opening super sale. Starts Friday until May 16. 817 North East Road, Valley View. Open 7 days.
For over 36 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. Steinborner is your first choice for new Hyundai and Mitsubishi in the Barossa, and your first choice for Ford in Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip or well worth the click.
Want a better bed at a better price? Better come to Dreamland.
That's right. If you're looking for a better night's sleep, get into Dreamland for savings of up to 50% off big brand Australian-made mattresses. Like Sealy Queen Back and Body Mattress, now only $9.99. That's half price. And Sleepmaker Pocket Spring mattresses are also half price at only $9.99. And it gets better with deals on beds and bedroom furniture. So for a better night's sleep, get into one of Dreamland's 6 stores for up to 50% off this month.
By better than Dreamland? You're dreaming. Dreamland.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Mart's, buy 3, get 1 free on Bridgestone, Copia and selected Dunlop passenger tyres. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes to 9. We've got Adelaide Cabaret tickets plus an overnight stay at the Intercontinental Adelaide to give away for someone who watched 7 News last night. If you did, you would have seen the feature show that we need you to name for us this morning on 8223 0055. You get it right, you're the first caller through, you get that wonderful VIP experience. The 2021 Adelaide Cabaret Festival, 11th to the 26th of June at the Adelaide Festival Centre. Book your tickets now. Visit adelaidecabaretfestival.com.au. In the meantime, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers, call Aussie Fast 13 13 64. It's time to go behind closed doors.
And when we get behind closed.
Now on Adelaide's 1395 FIVEaa Sports Day.
Yeah, welcome back to Sports Day. 8223 000's the number, and the great man himself, Malcolm Blight.
Oh, yeah, g'day, David. How you going?
Pretty good, Malcolm.
True story.
What's a true story, Blighty?
Oh, that bit you just said about me being a great man.
All right.
I don't like to brag, but true story.
Good on you, Malcolm. Now, you've got a bit of a beef with the length of kicks.
Well, I have, David. It's time, look, I reckon it's time we made the minimum length of kick in the AFL 20 metres. We've got to stop this short chipping around the ground. It's slowing up the game.
Yep, you're pretty hot on this, Blighty.
I am, David.
And you're a good judge.
Well, I am a good judge. True story.
The great man, Malcolm Blight, 8223 000. Troy's called up. G'day, Troy.
G'day, David and Malcolm.
Yeah, g'day, Troy.
Blighty, you kicked that torp 90 metres, didn't you?
Oh, no, well, look, I don't like to brag. It was 89 metres.
All right.
Yeah, but he did say he kicked longer ones at training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I kicked one longer than that against Hawthorn. True story.
That's why people admire you, Malcolm.
Yeah, look, they do admire me. True story.
When you were coaching, have you ever lost it at a player?
Well, David, I have.
I think you've got a story about Billy Brownless, haven't you?
Well, when I was coaching Geelong, we were playing Footscray, and at quarter time I was giving a fantastic speech to the players because I do speak very well. True story.
All right.
Anyway, I was giving a speech at quarter time and there was a plane flying over, but I didn't notice it until that night when I was going through the videotape, and while I was giving the quarter time speech, Billy Brownless was looking up in the sky watching the plane going over.
Oh, really?
So next day when I had the team in to watch the replay, I showed this bit, and then I took the tape out of the machine and just hurled it right at him.
Oh, wow.
Because coaching has a lot of technique to it, but violence against the players is definitely one of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I was a good coach.
Yep.
True story.
7 to 9, Anne-Marie from Craigmore is the first caller through with a chance to win this wonderful cabaret experience, VIP experience. Anne-Marie, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah,
Good, thanks, Anne-Marie.
What's the song, Anne? What's the show, Anne-Marie?
It's Songs of Dawn.
Started giving it away. I'm glad you got it right. Hey, Anne-Marie, you've got the VIP experience coming your way, so you've got tickets to Songs of Dawn. You've also got a wonderful night at the Intercontinental Adelaide as well. If you watch 7 News Adelaide tonight with Jane Doyle, you'll see tonight's feature show and another chance to win tomorrow.
Good stuff, Anne-Marie. Speaking of the Intercontinental, I was talking yesterday to someone in the tourism caper about occupancy rates, not just in the city, but in the regions, and SA is really doing extremely well now after an absolute shocker of a year last year, and it looks like the combined effect of the half-price government federally funded airline tickets and also the accommodation vouchers too in South Australia, $100 off, have had a terrific impact. The combined effect of that is going to give so many hotels and so many tourism operators a big shot in the arm. And it's so nice, too, that we're second behind the Gold Coast as a destination.
Yeah, it is.
And there must be all sorts of reasons for that. I think one of them, though, because when I lived in Sydney, so many people would say to me, I've never been to Adelaide. They just had this view that, you go to Queensland, you go to Darwin, you go to Perth, you might go to Broome, you go to Tassie, but we were down the pecking order.
Well, behind Broome.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah. And I reckon that because of the lockdown, a lot of people have gone, you know what, we've actually never been to South Australia. Let's go there.
Yeah.
And I reckon they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah. And it's I think there's a huge part of it too, is those places starting to learn about the Australian palate, wine and food-wise, has increased in its tastes a lot in the last 20 years.
Well, the example of that was Rowi's tips yesterday sounded like a James Halliday drinking guide.
That's right.
7:25 we played the snippet from the sports show, and Rowi's got bets on the showdown involving Rusden Blackgut Shiraz, St Hugo's Promised Land. There's a hugely sophisticated sort of understanding, and it's not an elitist thing here in South Australia. It's a punter thing, where people just get that these companies make really good stuff to eat and drink.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen.
Don't wait for end of financial year sales. Get great deals on a massive range of new Volkswagens right now. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen has loaded up on new stock, as well as locate demos, all ready for immediate delivery. And if you're impressed with our sales team, you'll love our service department with next day servicing and free loan cars. Don't wait for a great deal on Volkswagen. Get yours now from Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
At my age, there's not many parts that don't hurt. But at night, when my hip gives me hell, sometimes there's no nurse to help me. Easing my pain, is that too much to ask?
The Royal Commission into Aged Care found there are not enough nurses to administer pain relief. Ask the Morrison government to mandate staff ratio laws in aged care. Go to itsnottoomuch.com. Authorised by EDABARS for ANMF Federation SA Branch Ridleyton.
South Australians love a good Chardonnay. It's one of the most widely planted grape varieties in Australia. It thrives here in the Adelaide Hills too. So the Adelaide Hills wine region is inviting you to join in on Chardonnay May.
Throughout May, head up to the hills to enjoy the explosion of autumn hues as the trees and vines change colour. Try wine flights at Lobethal Road, Ashton Hills, Shaw and Smith, Murdoch Hill and Deviation Road, just to name a few.
If you're looking to book in something special for Mother's Day, there are several wineries hosting lunches with a focus on Chardonnay. That includes Mount Lofty Ranges Vineyard, The Lane, Barrister's Block and more.
So layer up, dig out your favourite boots and scarf, or maybe a skivvy, and celebrate the noble Chardonnay in May, Will.
For the complete list of... I see what you did there. I don't actually own a skivvy, I just lease them. For the complete list of venues and special events, go to chardonnaymay.com.au.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, get instant cash back on iconic tyre brands, including Michelin, Goodyear and Bridgestone. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Minute to 9, some more news out of Sydney. New South Wales Police will be hosting a press conference very shortly to reveal all the details they can at this point about the alleged kidnapping of former Australian Test cricketer Stuart McGill on Sydney's lower North Shore 2 weeks ago, at which he was held at gunpoint. 4 men have been arrested. He was in the incident assaulted, then released. According to now some of the more reporting we've got on this, more detail, about 8 p.m. on April 14, he was allegedly confronted by a 46-year-old man near Cremorne. A short time later, the pair were approached by 2 other men and McGill was allegedly forced into a vehicle. He was driven to a property at Bringelly
yeah.
In Sydney's West, where the 2 men plus another unknown man allegedly assaulted McGill, threatened him with a firearm. About an hour later, he was driven to Belmore and released.
Crikey. Cremorne's like a really flash part of town too. That's the weirdest thing.
Apparently he was working at a Greek restaurant at the time. I don't know. It's a story that's come out of nowhere in the last 45 minutes. And wait, but you'll hear more on 5AA News over the course of the next hour or two, because New South Wales Police will make an official statement. It certainly is. Leon Biner is coming up. Stick with 5AA across the day and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.